people go like, hey man, just do anything you want. You know, you've been tattooing all my cousins and shit. Just do whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, I'd fucking love to do a peony. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's like a Japanese rose. Like, I don't want none of that Jap shit. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. He does 1 hour sessions. He'll do like 6-7 people a day, but each one only gets 1 hour. Because the more you do, the worse it heals.
Okay.
The worse it heals, the more cleanup you have later. Then in modern tattooing, they're all like, oh, he can't tattoo good anymore because he had to touch up all his shit. For the most part, tattooing's fine. But once every 3 to 7 months, shit happens in a tattoo shop.
What's happening, everybody? This is Austin Spencer with Support Your Local Tattooer. I am real pumped today to sit down with a man that I've been tattooing in the same city as this man for me personally about 20 years, if not a little more. He has some great apprenticeship stories, some really fascinating, just your body of work as far as a tattooer is
hodgepodge.
It's dude, it's
I'm
incredible.
A slow motion hodgepodge.
Yeah. But anyway, this is Clark North, man, and thank you guys for tuning in. So chilling. How's your day going?
It's going good. It's I like the cold weather the best.
Yeah.
I like when I can actually layer a little bit instead of just wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Sweating.
You start to you get to express yourself through your style.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's like sweating sucks.
So let's see. You've been tattooing. I know you've been tattooing in Vegas now for.
I've been here since 04.
04?
03. Came out just to see if I really wanted to for a minute, and then 04 made the move. Yeah.
So you kind of been like pretty low key. I feel like you hide out.
Yeah. It was awkward. I don't know, standing out too much. Just, I don't know. That's not me.
Yeah.
We did that TV show that was 2004, but it didn't air till 2005 to 7.
So is that what brought you out here?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, they had asked me for like 3-4 weeks. If I was in magazines before all that, and Thomas Pendleton is somebody that I helped him with his career a lot. Back in the 90s. Yeah, and he was involved with it, and then they were like, "Yeah, we want you to come out." And I was like, "I ain't gonna fucking do no weird. What the fuck is this?" It's like, I don't know. There were weird things at that time. There wasn't reality shows. I didn't know what it was.
No, I know. That's what I was going to ask you too.
In my mind, I pictured it as like a documentary.
Oh,
literally.
Okay.
I didn't know what, they didn't say reality show even. They weren't saying, they're just a TV show about a tattooer's life and different tattooers. And so this is the shop. And it was like just a bad day. I'm from LA, Orange County area. Okay. It was just a bad day out there when I finally said yes. Really? It was just one of those moments where, somebody was like mad at me for chipping the workstation and leaving cabinets open and bending a hinge, which I did none of. The night shift. It was just one of those where I was, I don't know. I ain't saying that it was like wrong. They were attacking me, and so I got the fuck out of there. But I was just like, you know what? When a door opens, why not look inside? So, and then they said, okay, you got to be here in 3 days then.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I had gone out, I had come out in Las Vegas. I had come out in 03, checked it out. Thomas had, invited me, and then they were filming I guess they were filming the pilot at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was just like, that's not for me, man. This is awkward and weird. And I have to be honest, no peers. Yeah. Everybody was at least 10 to 15 years younger than me. And I just felt not right. But then my wife, well, to be honest, my friends, Mark Mahoney, Rick Walters. Yeah. They are the ones that said, if you don't fucking go out there and do this, we got to have somebody from our peer group involved somehow. Otherwise, they're going to end up with like clowns. You know what I mean? They were saying at least have somebody from the old days in there, and they're not asking us. So you go That was really.
That's cool.
So, yeah, they were the ones that go, no, you should go do this, man. It's like.
I like their forward thinking, though, and positive outlook on it. I was worried that you were going to be getting a lot of shit from your peers or,
I did get shit from
yeah, for sure. I would imagine like all of us, artists are so cringy when it comes to new things.
It was the late 90s was when a whole bunch of people started tattooing. And we felt it, you go from, my first professional shop that I worked in was Carrie Barber's Outer Limits.
Yeah.
And that's where I worked until I moved to Las Vegas.
She had, it was in Anaheim or?
Yeah, at that time there was one shop.
Okay.
It was Anaheim.
Okay.
Yeah, Beach
I went into that shop back in the day.
Yeah. I worked there for a decade.
Okay.
So
I bought some Dennis McPhail prints in there, I think.
He's the artist.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The 3D wall art.
Yeah, he did like all the hot rod kind of like pinstriping and illustrations.
Oh yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was before she did the 3D walls. Yeah. But it was just them saying, do it. Why aren't you? Why? And I'm just like, I don't know.
It's just weird. Yeah,
I don't want to be on TV. I'm not looking. That's not my life is tattooing. So it just felt weird. Like. But I did it. And then, then like you said, the peers got angry. But the late 90s, a whole bunch of people started tattooing and everybody felt it. It went from like 8,000 tattooers in the world for reals in the early 90s.
No shit. Damn.
Yeah. People don't realize how it was a small community.
Yeah.
There was like 8,000 tattooers in the fucking world. Now that's like in a county,
Yeah. Yeah. Shit.
A U.S. county. But it just, it did affect everybody's income at that time. Just all of a sudden, you couldn't biannually raise the price. And that started happening like I remember we rose the price in 93, 94. That's when I started. Carrie's shop was 94. We raised the price from $40 an hour to $60 an hour. That was normal. You go from $40 an hour in 93, 40, then to 60. And it was like, the same as groceries going from $40 a bag to $60 a bag. Same thing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, we went up to $80 an hour. Then we went up to $100 an hour. And that was by like, maybe 98, then like 99, 2000. It was like everybody that was saying that, the cost of living is going up, but we can't raise our rates because people are like going, oh, fuck, there's a guy down the street that'll do it for less. And that wasn't really happening before. I mean, guys down the street have always been around, but not hundreds of them, which is what happened in the 90s. So everybody was taking a hit and tattooing was getting slow. Everybody was feeling it.
Oh shit.
So from like the year, maybe 2001, 2002, 2003, we were feeling it. We were even like going like, do we drop back down to $80? No, you can't. It's like, it's weird balance.
Yeah.
Then I was doing the TV show. And then as soon as it started airing, even as soon as the whispering was going out that it's being filmed,
oh, really?
I started receiving physical fucking hate mail. It was bizarre.
Oh,
people are like, you're fucking up our world. And the fuck is all this shit? Which is always like from people that really want to be doing what you're doing. It's a weird thing. No, and I didn't hold grudges. I wasn't like, fuck them or anything. I was just like, I get it, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
At that time, I had a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I'm like, I am paying alimony, child support. I need to figure out my future. All this
just
stuff.
how to grow within your.
So it was bizarre. When the show first came out, there was a lot of anger. A lot. The only times I ever was like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this guy? Was when they threatened my fucking family.
Yeah. Fucking weird.
And with a fucking writing in there.
And a signature.
What? Just weird shit.
Oh
but,
my God.
The weird thing is I was just like, fuck, grow up.
Yeah.
The other thing is within a year of the TV show being on, people started saying, I am fucking tattooing way more than I have in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it started making the public not afraid to go into tattoo shops.
For sure.
One of the things I'm proud of is it's a weird balance. You know, I wished it was still underground like it was. It was small and special.
Yeah.
Now it's not as special, but so there's weird responsibilities, but so many tattooers started saying, I'm fucking sorry. I was pissed because I got to quit my second job.
Dang.
Type of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So it made tattooing, I think, more accessible to a lot of people that wanted tattoos.
Yeah.
But just were like tattoo shops were like, you don't know if you're going to a biker den. You didn't know. You know? People were afraid. What's it like inside a tattoo shop?
We single-handedly felt it. I mean, our shop opened up. So I don't know if we said it. This is for Hart and Huntington was the show that you were on in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And that was
the show was
the first. Yeah, inked. And that was the first or second.
Well, we were filming it. Yeah, we were filming it. They filmed it for like 8-9 months. But by our 7th month of filming, then we heard a production company or crew got together and are putting out a TV show, and they just started filming it after we'd been filming for 7 months.
Yeah.
And so they actually busted out their fucking. So it's a weird thing. It doesn't matter to me.
No, for sure. I was just trying to.
But people are like, were you guys the first? And it's like, well, we were the first
second,
filming
right there.
it.
Yeah.
But we didn't go on air until 9 days after their first episode. So they filmed for 2 months and then had, I guess, 3-4 weeks worth of episodes. And we were filming for like 7-8 months before the TV show ever came out. So it was hard filming it too, because nobody knew what the fuck. Why is there a tattoo shop in this casino?
Which was a first too. It was a big deal for Vegas.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Which they changed the zoning for and everything, because we were all, as tattoo shops and owners, that we were all forced to be in like an industrial zoning. So it was like strip clubs and
I had to get 7 permits. Yeah. 7 permits and something like $6,500 to get permitted for myself. Each one of the people in Hart and Huntington.
No shit.
Had fucking, it was wild. Crazy. Just the permits and all that stuff was changing things. Yeah.
Well, so kind of back to what we were talking about, how explosive it kind of became right as those shows started taking off. Like our shop opened up in 2003, right literally down the street from the casino that Hart and Huntington was in. And you guys opened up, like, was it right before us, or like 2003 or 2004 it opened? I can't remember. I know we opened
Hart
like right around.
was built in 03.
Okay.
December was when I came out. 03 December is when I came out, and they filmed that pilot, I guess is what it was. But that was like a grand opening party.
Yeah, because it opened up, and then it took a while for the TV show to kick off, right? A year or so, like they were
filming from 03.
And you were already there trying to survive as a tattoo artist in this new environment, and it was probably slow.
I was borrowing money from everybody for months and months and months. I was borrowing money. It was hard. You were lucky if you got to do something little twice on your shift.
Yeah.
But then after the TV show started airing and people started, watching it, then the line was like,
there was literally, I remember seeing the line.
Sometimes they would go outside. Even.
Yeah.
It was
and then those people were getting frustrated because they couldn't get access to the tattoo shop. So then they were coming over to us. So freakishly, we opened up down the street at the same time, and we were brand new. So it kind of helped us out.
We would recommend. Yeah, we would totally recommend you. So
I remember that. Yeah. Everybody was super nice in there.
We got three. I keep thinking 4 because of the the next shop, but 3 tattooers at a time. The shop is only like 40 feet deep. 15 feet wide, something like that. But we couldn't get to everybody. Every once in a while, there'd be some gnarly fights in the line. Like we would, unlock the door at 11. What? I think it was. And, the girls would go like, there's about 150 people out there. And you're like, you can't tattoo 150 people. Nope. So she would tell him, like, if you're wanting T-shirts, let's form a separate line. And then that would weed it down to maybe like 80 people that wanted tattoos. And then it would take first in line. But then people get in fights out in the lines outside. Security had to deal with that shit. Then when we would open the door, they would come in, and then they'd talk to the helpers, and they would go, okay, well, this sounds like it should go to Josh, or this should go to they would split it up.
Yeah.
And so then I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll take that. He'll take that. And then they would tell the next people, okay, so we're setting you up and with so-and-so, and then why don't you come back around 12:30? And then the next person, okay, why don't you come back around 1:00 and things like that.
Okay.
And so then they would come back, but then the gnarliest was, you know, what's funny is the producers, they were like all in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't understand. And they would go like, whoa, it sounds like you guys used to work in like crazy shit. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes it would get crazy. They're like, do you have to keep a gun? You go, yeah, I work with cash. Why wouldn't?
Yeah.
You always keep a gun. They're like, that's crazy having to have it. And I'd be like, well, for the most part, tattooing's fine. But once every 3 to 7 months, shit happens in a tattoo shop. Yeah. And I remember like as they were filming, they started going, well, this is kind of boring. Maybe if we, and I'm like, no, man, you can film me doing what I love doing for a living.
Yeah.
But they didn't have spice or something. And I would tell them, man, yeah, it would have been cool if you guys were filming like 15 years ago. When, you know, every once in a while you have to have fucking weird shit going on in the shop. And they're like, what kind of weird shit? And I'm like, it just would get gnarly sometimes. You keep it cool. They're like, what? You ever had to draw a gun? And I'm like, fuck, only in defense. You know, it's like, they're like, what? And I'm like, but this one day, because of the line, say the 4th and 5th people, so 3 are getting tattooed, then the next 2. One's told to come back at like 1, one's told to come back at 12:30. So the 12:30 guy comes back around 12:30, but the guy that was told that he heard told to come back around 1 was already in the shop.
Oh shit.
So he's thinking that guy's taking cuts, and the girls, they get scared as soon as somebody gets a little agitated. And so I was tattooing in the back and they were filming. Like each tattooer would have a producer sitting over the clipboard in case you say something cool. They're like jotting it down and what time and what to look for. And then there's 1 or 2 camera people on you. There's boom mic guy. So you're sitting in a little 10 by 10 spot with your client, and at least 4. And then that's also going on with the other tattooers. It's not just one tattooer is being filmed. And anyways, the girl screamed, Clark. And I turned around and she goes, he's got a knife. And then I heard, I'm going to gut you, fucker. You're fucking spilling out right here. And the next thing I knew, I had this guy down. Yeah. The next thing I knew, I had his knife in my hand.
Oh my God.
And the fucking security, she called 911. She ran out in the casino screaming, he's killing him. And it was bizarre. So, yeah, this guy misunderstood that just because that guy came back a little earlier than him didn't mean he was going to get sacked earlier.
Yeah.
But the guy was also
obviously
he was drunk.
Yeah, being a dipshit.
That's crazy. Drunk. But, but then I remember going, fuck, that's so cool that you guys got. Where the fuck are they? Because I was thinking, that's cool. You guys got what I was talking about.
Yeah. Nothing?
No,
they just ran?
Were gone. And I went, and they were in the clean room. And they panicked and hid.
What?
Instead of filming. And they didn't follow. They just freaked out because it all happened. It was bizarre. I was like, dang. Oh, there you go. That's awesome. You guys got that for the No, you didn't. What the fuck? That was a crazy moment.
Youngsters. Yeah. They were, damn. Instead of assisting you and making sure you're good.
They were all like,
they ran and hid.
They were all scared to go into tattoo shops. You know, They were the kind of people that the show ended up teaching that not all tattoo shops are going to rob you or beat you up or throw you in the dumpster, pillowcase and dump you.
Yeah. I did hear a little bit about that. I don't even know where to start. Let's go. Well, before we get into that, let's kind of get back. I really always enjoy hearing how you got into tattooing, but I see that you were doing hand poking before.
Yeah,
you got into.
Well, tattooing was never weird or foreign to me. It has never been. When we first moved to California, I was 4 years old. We moved to Maywood, Los Angeles, and that was in 66, 67. That was the 60s, the early 70s, I guess it's okay. My parents are both gone. It was open marriage season. Okay.
Oh, okay. Everybody.
So it was awkward for me growing up a little bit.
Yeah.
But my dad, he had girlfriends.
Okay.
And my mom, she had boyfriends.
Okay.
I think my mom's boyfriends were in reaction to my dad's girlfriend.
That could be. Yeah.
Okay. No big. Yeah. But my mom's boyfriend, he was a fucking Hell's Angel and he was fully fucking tattooed. Yeah. That was her boyfriend. And I called him my daddy. I mean, my daytime daddy, my day daddy.
Okay.
he was there while my dad was gone. My dad, he would work till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And then he would go out until like 8, 9 at night with women.
Okay.
Yeah. And my mom's reaction was, fuck that. I want some too.
Yeah.
That was the 60s, late 60s, and the whole fucking hippie free sex shit that ruined the fucking, I don't know. But anyways, so I have very, very vivid memories of them sitting at the table. We lived in a small apartment, just a little table, round table, but they'd be drinking coffee and giggling and talking. Every once in a while, they'd go play with your friends. And then I'd come back in and my mom's knees would have scabs on them.
Oh, Jesus.
It was just not talking shit. Yeah. But, her husband was doing this shit to her.
Yeah.
And her reaction... And she found a guy that really made her giggle, really, really was cool to her. But he was very tattooed.
Yeah.
Well, I liked his tattoos. I wasn't like going, oh, what's those? It was just like, yeah, I'd seen, I don't remember tattoos being like, whoa, what is that? I never had that experience. I just remembered there's tattoos. I don't remember thinking, what are tattoos? Nothing. It was just, there was no question.
Yeah.
It's just natural. There was never any like, what are those? But I liked to draw. I've been drawing since I was 4. Anyways, him being heavily tattooed and being a bit of a thug, he actually poked a tattoo in himself to show me what a tattoo is.
Oh, cool. When you were a little guy.
When I was 4. Yeah. For real. Okay. He used to have like an outline of a topless hula dancer front. Or no, topless hula dancer back, hot topless hula dancer front.
Oh, that's fun.
And he would let me color in tattoos. That's when I actually started drawing tattoos. I didn't start drawing per se until I didn't have an interest.
Yeah.
Until I was like, that anchor's neat. That butterfly is neat. I want to draw those. And so he would sit there with his arm on the table and my mom and him would be chit-chatting. And we didn't have regular paper back then either. The only thing to draw on at the time in a household would have been typing paper. Are you familiar with typing paper?
Yeah, the texture on it. Yeah.
It's got a film that when the ink touches it, it's kind of a sticky paper. Okay. It's got like I don't know what on it. But I remember drawing on those and trying to draw with pencil. That didn't work. And so I started drawing with ballpoint pen. But that's when I started literally drawing tattoos.
That's cool. Your very first like exposure to art
the 60s.
In general.
Yeah. And then
it's great.
So I was 4. By the time I was 6, 7, 8, I started drawing tattoos on friends and birthday parties. They would have like a clown or something and maybe whatever. They would have different things. Yeah. But I was like a novelty in our little quarter-mile neighborhood. And I would set up a little pretend tattoo station and draw tattoos, So it'd be like 6, 7 kids standing in line. And then I would draw, what do you want? They're like, I want a ship. I remember even trying to figure out like, okay, I'm going to let them either have a butterfly or an anchor because a ship takes too long.
You're already.
I had seen tattoo shops because of the Pike down in Long Beach. And there was a bunch of tattoo shops in there. And we would go down to the Pike, starting when I was like 5 years old. Yeah. So I knew they had pictures of what they would do for you on the wall. Okay. I would draw a little, like, here's what you can get. Later life, now I know that's Flash and all this shit. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know. But I did at least 7 or 8 birthday parties as a little 7-year-old tattooer pretending to be.
That's cool.
I remember one time when there was like 5, 6 kids waiting for their tattoo because they're all like 5 years old. And I'm the big old 7-year-old. And they would want the tattoo more than the cake. I remember the mothers going, the cake's ready. Kids, the cake's ready. And they're like, no, I want to get, and I remember like, okay, let's go get cake just so that the moms would quit being upset.
No shit.
They would give me like $3-4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You started a little entrepreneur. You're starting to get paid real quick there. That's cool.
But yeah, as far as like hand poke, people back then did not consider hand poke a tattoo, a real, now there's hand poke. I'm a professional hand poke tattoo.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's come back. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I put a little tattoo in myself when I was 4 years old. I put a little tattoo in myself.
Oh, shit.
That you can still see to this day when I was 9 even.
Okay.
It's just a little thing to see what it felt like.
Yeah.
But as far as really tattooing, putting a picture on somebody, that started when I was 13. Even a lot of my friends did not like tattoos. And I was never like, but tattoos are cool. It was never a separate thing for me. It was just like drawing and tattoos go together. I liked drawing. They weren't separate for me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, I started poking on myself. Pictures, like actual pictures, and then
like just
friends
and you just draw on and then just start poking on over the top of that. And then
I don't even remember specifics.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have asked me like, "What's the first tattoo you ever did?" I have no idea.
Yeah.
What's the first professional tattoo you did? I have no idea.
Do you remember if you were doing it with like sewing needle and then you'd wrap the thread around there?
Yes,
and then
exactly. That's what my mom's boyfriend showed me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Basically he would poke one needle out in the middle, and then he would wrap 5 around it.
Okay.
And then
that's more advanced than I was taught.
It was just like, but he also showed me different things too. Yeah. Like you can put them on a popsicle stick.
Yep.
And basically just showing me, I don't know. He thought I was a cool little kid. That's
cool.
I still remember his name. His name was Gene Tunk. I'm pretty sure that was Gene Tunk. It was just a normal part of my life.
Yeah.
Hand poking. I was doing that type of needle when they say, oh, you just wrap them together, you dip it in ink, start. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
Same as Tabori needles,
Yeah.
It's just anything that'll break the skin, and then how do you fasten it together so it doesn't fall apart while you're working. I was doing that until I met Mike Brown. Mike Brown, I think I met him in 79, probably 80. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was still at the Whittier Tattoo Land. Tattoo Land was on Whittier Boulevard.
Okay.
Before it moved to Anaheim. That's when I met Mike Brown. And he had tattooed me. And I remember like, him like, who did that? And I go, I did. And he goes, oh, you do tattoos? I'm like, yeah. It's like, he's like, well, what are you doing here? Giving me money. And I'm like, well, I can do black. We didn't have the word tribal back then.
Yeah. Okay.
But, black tattoos, but no shading, no color. Just think of a shape. You can do a black diamond. Do a fleur-de-lis. And, basically, they started calling that all tribal in the 90s. But Mike is the one that showed me, use a chopstick and shave it down like that. And then you can put the needles on like that. And he taught me how to sanitize better. He taught me how to, that was like a brief, maybe 3 to 5 months hanging out with Mike and him showing me how to make needles. And he told me how to stretch the skin. That's one thing I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like with Tabori needles, you don't just stretch and poke any direction. You want to stretch and flick in the direction,
Okay. Yeah.
He's the one that taught me that. He taught me how to do a, larger grouping, like 11 needles and then double stack them so that when you're at an angle, both rows are hitting at the same time.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Years later, I figured out, he taught me Tabori. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
Mike was very special to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So he was, this is all out of the Long Beach area? Or were you still in the Pike area? Pike's in Long Beach, right?
We moved from Maywood to, I don't even remember, Watts, Downey.
Yeah.
We moved different places, Pico Rivera. Then we ended up moving to Garden Grove, and then we moved to Huntington Beach. I've counted. I've moved 17 times.
Damn.
By
and
the time,
your parents are still together
20.
and like doing their thing.
They were together about 20 years total.
So you started once you learned how to do that, were you starting to fuck around on your friends and stuff, like your buddies at 13?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
yes. And some parents were like,
losing their
my dad hated
knocking
tattoos.
on your door or what?
Yeah, my dad was in the Navy during World War II.
Okay.
And during Korea. He was both in both of those wars.
Oh, whoa.
And then he was a pilot.
Okay.
During World War II. And during Korea, he was a lieutenant commander aboard an aircraft carrier in charge of pilots, I guess, or experiment. He was in charge of weird experiments too. Anyways,
yeah.
So my dad hated tattoos. He said those are for enlisted men. Those are for the I don't know. He used to talk shit about tattoos. He hated tattoos. I remember he saw this. Okay, I did that when I was 13.
Damn. Okay, cool. That's a pretty bold move. Right on the hand.
It wasn't though.
Yeah.
To me, it wasn't. To
yeah.
other people, they were freaking out, telling me I'm going to go to hell. Leviticus says you're going to go to hell. You're a sinner. All this stuff that just tripped me out. But no, to me, it wasn't no big deal. And I even had friends that like, I don't know why you're doing that, man. You're never going to get a good job. They're not even going to, girls aren't even like all this stuff, you know? So some friends, talking about tattoos was just, I learned, don't talk about tattoos with Doug. Don't talk about tattoos, with certain people. And then other people really like tattoos. But it was never like, these days I can see at a young age where people were like going, whoa, tattoos are cool. It doesn't seem like that was really what it was like back then. But maybe it was just my small world. They were normal.
Unless you saw that other young guy with one too, and you were like, "Oh shit! Like, were we a part of the same team?"
Yeah. So I tattooed friends off and on from the 70s up until my wife at the time got pregnant, and when we were going to have a child, is when I started realizing I want a career. Talked to Mark Mahoney. There's a convoluted area in the 80s where I got injured real bad. I got blown up. Yeah. Lost my eye, got lots of fractures, lots of shrapnel. Some of it still comes out of me to this day.
No shit.
I had a piece of shrapnel come out right here like 2 years ago. Just a little hump.
What the fuck?
Anyways.
Yeah. That was in
1986, I'd been talking for like 2 years to one of my good friends. I don't want to say his name.
Yeah.
But about learning, being an apprentice. I didn't even know what an apprentice was, but it's like, I want a tattoo. And it's like, it's just not the right time. And then they were always like, I'm going to say they, I don't want to say a name, but they're always like, man, you're just too nice of a person, man. This will change you and shit. And you don't want to do this. And after like a year and a half, he was like, you know what? So-and-so just finished, is going to be finishing soon. So I want to fit you in, man. I got to talk to somebody about it.
Oh,
you got to get permission back then.
Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody about it. But anyways, it looks like, sure, man, you just keep going and I'll teach you.
Yeah.
And it was a vague, like, it's between you and so-and-so. And anyways, that weekend is when my girlfriend at the time, which became my first wife.
Yeah.
And my best friend, Steve, who ended up hitting on my first wife. Anyways,
fucking
not
Steve.
At that time. But anyways, literally, we went out of town to celebrate. And we went down to Mexico. People always want to know how to get blown up. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we went down to Mexico. And they have like these things called M80s. They have these things, just the firecrackers. They have all these different things.
Yeah.
But we went down there with like a couple $100 because we wanted to buy the biggest fucking fireworks they had.
I've done the same thing.
Okay, so those ones that are
it's like a
big,
essentially
and they
a
don't
stick
go,
of dynamite.
They don't go bang.
Yeah.
They go boom.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's very close to the July 4th fireworks. It's
like the mortars and.
Crazy. And we bought 10 and it was in 1986 and they were $10 each.
Oh, fuck.
In Mexico.
Okay. Yeah.
So that tells you they were like $100 each things. And we were blowing them up and people were telling us from like a tenth of a mile away, knock it the fuck off.
Yeah.
We blew up an outhouse. Like literally blew up.
Just out fucking shit up.
A wooden outhouse.
Yeah.
We were down in Ensenada or La Bufadora, a little farther to Ensenada.
A little partying involved?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't shit faced, but I was buzzed. And that's what, one of the reasons why I don't really like Corona no more.
Oh.
I haven't been able to drink a Corona since that day.
No shit.
And enjoy it. It's just a smell that takes me back to a moment that was fucked up. But we bought 10 of them, and the 10th one is the one where I stuck my cigarette to it right here.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was just right there, and it fucking did not use the fuse. The fuse was, like that long.
Yeah.
I touched my cigarette and it was fucking weird. Like I still remember floating.
Like not your ears ringing, and
that was after. Yeah. You remember Saving Private Ryan? Did you see that movie?
There's a long time ago. Yeah.
There's been lots of times when I've been trying to explain to people what it's like, but when that movie came out, I was like, oh fuck, that's the best representation of it I've ever seen. There's something blew up in front of Tom Hanks when he was on the bridge, and it was like,
kind of,
and it's like you're kind of coming back into focus. And it had thrown me about 7-8 feet. I spun around in the air, landed face down on the hood of my friend's truck, and slid off, and was realizing that I felt in slow motion the skin peel away from my skull. Oh. And I felt my mouth. I felt it tear in the back. It was slow motion. Fuck, why am I telling this? Anyway,
I don't. Well, I think
people always fucking want to know.
So I guess so. Yeah,
it's a weird sensation for each person has their own experience. But I went in very slow motion where it felt like it took about 20 to 30 seconds in the air, which must have been like boom, boom.
Yeah.
But it was very slow motion. I felt it go whoop. And then that was fast. It slowed down and I felt everything tear.
Oh my God.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to feel bone when I went like that, but I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think what I felt was like when your skin stretches really far from a hard impact.
Oh, okay.
Because it tore my uvula off. It tore my...
Holy shit, down your throat. Fucking...
Yeah, my mouth was open. It tore a whole bunch of gums and there was also pieces of shrapnel.
Whatever was
pieces compacted. Of stuff everywhere. Like
glass probably.
My right side was full of holes. It went through my Levi's. It went... And it cracked this bone. It broke my nose. It cracked up here. And shrapnel, the big piece, went in my eye and cracked the back of my orbital.
Oh, my God, dude.
And I still remember thinking, like, I'm going to feel... I remember... When it went like that, my face is ripping off inside my head.
Yeah. I can't believe it didn't knock you out.
Slow motion.
Kind of did.
I was very aware.
Yeah.
I was not knocked out.
Yeah, that is insane.
And it was slow motion. But fuck, why did I go off on that?
Like, I don't know.
Okay, so that's, now I know why. And then I was in the hospital. And the first surgery was just to explore. The second surgery was to remove shrapnel.
Okay.
And the third and fourth surgeries were plastic surgeries.
Okay.
I initially, my mom was a nurse. She said, if something happens, don't go to the hospital in Mexico. You'll get an infection. That's how people die. So we drove from La Bufadora up to San Diego. We went into the San Diego emergency, and that's where they did the first surgery.
Yeah. So all the surgeries were in the States.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. And then after the first surgery, I remember telling my girlfriend, like, the doctor brought his son in this morning and pulled my bed out from the wall and had his son was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And removed bandages and showed his son, see what happens when you act stupid.
Oh, no.
you know, I remember him saying, shit, well, I thought you wouldn't hear it because of the drugs you were on, you know?
Yeah.
But I was very aware of that too.
Oh, whoa.
But anyways, I told my girlfriend and another good friend of mine, and then they took me from that hospital up to another hospital.
Oh, okay.
And the Chalk Children's Hospital, but I was in my 20s. But nonetheless, that's where I got my shrapnel removed. So the second surgery. And then a couple days later, because I was getting, they said, if we don't do plastic surgery, which you don't have to have. Yeah. Plus, they wanted to start getting the eye ready for a prosthesis.
Oh, all right.
Which like didn't work out. Yeah, it didn't work out in the long run because I lost half of my bottom lid and a third of my top lid. So I don't have, it's like prosthesis fits in an opening like this, but I have an opening like that. So yeah. But those plastic surgeries. And then got home from the hospital, and about 10 days later, my mom died.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I swear my hair started growing in white that month.
And your girlfriend was pregnant at the time, too?
No, no.
Okay.
So that's there's a convoluted spot where I was going to get to start learning to tattoo, professionally tattoo in 1986. Yeah. We went to celebrate. I was blown up. Yeah. And then I was dealing with a bunch of shit. Yeah. And then I kind of lost myself. My mom's sister in Florida, she knew me real well. And she told me, come live here. You're not handling things good. Yeah. Anyways, so I went there for a year and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And almost opened a tattoo shop in Florida just because all of my family, my cousins are like, because I was tattooing for the fuck of it. Or they're like, you do tattoos? And I'm like, well, I hand poke tattoos. But anyways, by the time I got back to California, the person that had said we can, he said, bro, I never seen a good one-eyed tattooer. Let's just like fucking, anyways, and I'm not saying that was totally the reason why he didn't after that, but I still remember that. Like him saying, like, I've never seen a good one-eyed tattooer. And so that fell through. And that was in 86, 87, 19. And, I still would tattoo friends all the time, at least.
All hand pokes still, right? You haven't moved to electric. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And like this right here, like 2 hours.
Yeah, no doubt.
So for it to be as solid as it is. Yeah. Anyways, then in 91, when we were pregnant with Ian, my first son, is when I went and talked to Mark Mahoney. Yeah. And he was working at Gilmonti's shop at Tattoo Mania. Okay. Cool. And
no shit.
Mark had, done some time in the later 80s, and that's also but he was working at Gilmonti's shop, and he's like, Gil didn't like me, like at first. We're friends now, totally, friends. But back then I was, what would I have been? I'd have been like 27, 29 years old.
Were they roughly around your same age at the time? Or a little older? Like Mark Mahoney and like
me and Mark are the same age.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, Gil's a little older.
I was trying to remember.
Envision
if you were like a
Mark
younger
was born,
cat,
I think, in 62. I was born in 63.
Okay. Yeah.
Gil, I think, was born in 59, 57.
So you guys were in your mid to late 20s?
This would have been late 20s. Yeah. And then, my son Ian was born when I was 29. Anyways.
Yeah. So you got to, you were pursuing, Mark Mahoney.
Couldn't teach me at Mania. He couldn't teach me at Mania. Gil was like, I don't know, I don't need no fucking another Orange County punk fucking, because that's, is punk in the fucking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not Black Flag punk, more like Sex Pistols punk. Okay. Old, long haired punk.
Yeah.
Anyways, but Mark called me and said, I talked to Rick Walters, man, and he owes me one. And you got $400? And I'm like, I can get it. Yeah. And he goes, all right, give Rick a call and he'll tell you, how to. Anyways, I went down there to Rick, and I'd seen him. I'd been kicked out of Burt Grimm's. Back,
okay.
That was the Pike.
Yeah.
The Rose tattoo at the Pike was the shop I hung out in the most, was the Rose tattoo, or the Rose on the Pike, they called it.
Yeah.
That was another Bob Shaw shop.
Okay.
Bob Shaw owned the Rose and Bert Grimm's. And anyways, Mark worked at the Rose, and that's where I used to go and hang out with Mark. But then he had worked in Anaheim at Tattoo Land, and then he had his own shop, Shamrock Tattoo, and then he did a little time, got out and worked at Tattoo Mania. And that's when this happened, was when he was working at Tattoo Mania. And then I went down to see Rick, and he's all, you bring the money? And I'm like,
that was the only thing you wanted to know?
How did he say it? It was funny. He goes, you got the money? And I go, well, yeah, I got the money I was going to use for rent. Not saying it snotty like that. I said, I got the money, but I was going to use it for rent. Yeah. And he goes, too bad, give it here. And he took my money and he gave me 2 machines.
Oh, shit.
And then I'm like, oh, thank you, man. And he goes, that ain't it, man. And he gave a call to National Tattoo Supply and told them that I would be calling. And then I got my power supply and started getting stuff from National. That was...
Dang, so that was like your end to be able to actually legitimately order.
So and stuff. And then Rick would work at Bert Grimm's. He was the manager of Bert Grimm's, but he would work there from like 11 to 6.
Okay.
Night crew would come in at 5 or 6. And then I would work my day job. This is when Ian was in diapers, you know, maybe right before he was born. But I would work my day job where I was working at a custom print house where we would retouch old 1800s photos, or we would do headshots for movie stars, Michelle Pfeiffer type headshots.
Yeah.
And I would work there from like 4 a.m. until like 11. And then I would go down and hang out with Rick and watch him if somebody came in to get tattooed.
Yeah.
Or he would teach me how to make needles, make machines, how to paint flash. And, that's the type of stuff he would do there.
That's great.
But he also had apprentices that were working there that he had apprenticed before, like Scully. Mm-hmm. And I think Mule was already tattooing, or I can't remember, Dougie Mitz. Anyways, they paid him money for their apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Rick owed Mark. Rick helped me out for nothing.
Wow.
We became really good friends. I would go down there like at noon and then leave when or before the night shift came in, especially if it was Bob Shaw Jr.
Okay.
Like if he was coming in that night, I would leave at like 3, because he would have been fucking pissed if Rick was helping. I don't know if he wasn't in the loop of permissions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, and he was a cool guy too, but definitely different. Like he didn't keep a machete on his hip like the other guys. He kept a hatchet on it. It's just different.
A spicy dude.
He was a different guy. Him and his wife used to get in hatchet fights.
Oh my God.
They were funny. But anyways, Rick helped me out that way. But it was like, Rick was like, yeah, man, they don't need to fucking know. Cause he didn't want to get no shit from like Scully, who had worked off his apprenticeship as a
new guy coming up,
paying your college dues by being the fucking janitor for a couple years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing that. So that was one of those things where it's a trip. I've been tattooing since the late 70s, but only professional since 91. That's when I started learning from Rick how to be professional.
Yeah.
So I'd work my day job, then I'd hang out with Rick. I'd go home and I'd tattoo people at night. And then I'd bring them into Rick even for him to look at the tattoos. And that went on for 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
Of him getting me to be a professional tattooer.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to make color ink,
Yeah.
So all this stuff that, I knew would be like a professional tattooer as opposed to a scratcher, which I considered myself a scratcher. Now I would have been called a hand poke tattooer, but nonetheless, that's the way I thought of it, and that's what everybody considered it, man. If you're not professional, you're a scratcher. So I was learning how to be a professional tattooer.
Yeah.
And then in 94 is when I got a job with Carrie Barba. And everybody was tripped out too, because I was like the first from the traditional world meshing with the new school
okay, yeah,
world.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal for some people. They're like, no way, you got a job at Carrie shop. You're the first one of us, man. You're the first one of us to get into one of these new school shops.
What? That's cool. Yeah. Totally.
Even though she'd been tattooing since like 1980.
Yeah, but definitely
she's
pushing the envelope
school.
On her style.
Yeah, she's the first one to do good color portraits.
Yeah. I remember going in there before.
Even Paul Rogers idolized her ability to do beautiful, realistic color.
Yeah.
Dang. She was definitely that. But anyway, she gave me a job. She's like, well, we'll see how it works out, type of thing. What was it? I remember somebody told me, they just heard Carrie Barba's hiring because she just expanded the shop from this big to this big.
Yeah.
And so she could have, someone else come in and give her money because they're tattooing for her.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's how you make money, right? Get people to work for you. Can't make money doing it. You got to make money taking it. Anyways, that's a joke.
Yeah, no.
Fucking joke. Diversify.
It is.
With a knife.
Yeah.
No. She's like, we'll see how it works out. I remember I met her and she's like, how come you're here? Don't you guys hate us? And I'm like, no, personally, I remember seeing her in magazines and shit, but I didn't,
Yeah.
But she wasn't like, oh my God, yes. And then the next day she called and said, you know what? I've given it some thought. And I found out later, Rick gave her a call.
Okay.
And said, you need to fucking hire him.
That's what I was going to ask, is like how the transition went from that shop to,
Rick did me a favor. Mark did a favor, giving me to Rick. Rick did me a favor, giving me to Carrie Barba. Huge.
So working with Carrie Barba was your first full-time
professional
gig?
full-time job.
So you were just learning and just practicing the craft.
For 3 years I was tattooing at least 3 to 4 nights a week, sometimes 7 nights a week at home.
Oh, okay.
So I would. Funny thing, Josh, we used to call him Dizzle 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so Josh, he was saying, I remember one of the things on the TV show was, I don't know why Clark was telling me how much weight he'd lost when I was learning to tattoo. Because I was like, man, you're not taking this shit seriously. You haven't even lost any fucking weight.
Oh, yeah.
Because me, when I was learning, I was working a fucking full-time 40-hour plus. And then learning with Rick, and then tattooing at night, and then getting 3 to 5 hours of sleep, sometimes 2 to 3 hours of sleep.
Damn.
And doing it again and again and again. And I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
I had gotten down to 125 pounds.
Oh my dude.
It was just, and I was giving all my money to alimony and child support.
Yeah.
So I didn't eat a lot.
Yeah.
I got really fucking skinny. So I just thought, and I remember everybody that I've ever seen as an apprentice, they would get skinny.
No shit.
Back then.
Yeah.
You're working so fucking much and you get skinnier and you don't have no fucking money to fucking eat steak.
Yeah.
So anyways, I still remember Dizzle tripping out about I don't know why he thinks I should lose weight since I'm learning to tattoo.
So then, Barbara, your experience with Carrie was amazing, or
she was
you learned a lot there. I would imagine.
Yeah, she definitely. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been able to afford to pay my child support and alimony.
Yeah,
and it's just a blessing.
You got to. She spend? I mean, you guys became friends, and she got to spend a lot of time with her.
Yeah, she actually had me manage for her for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Until I quit managing because
it's a whole different
managing.
It's 2 different hats.
It's not. Yeah, it's like I'm going to give you 85% instead of 60%, but I'm still bringing him less money because I don't have time to tattoo.
Yeah.
So percentage of nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. We became really good friends. I remember there's some of the things I've learned from Carrie is you can't just say everybody heals a certain way and here's the aftercare. You can't. It's everybody's skin's different. Plus, me and Carrie learned each of our techniques are different. Just the way she stretches the skin. There's so many variables, so like you can't just say like, okay, you need to do a natural heal. Because Carrie, basically I've always done that natural heal.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is all it was back in the day was keep your tattoo dry, kill bacteria for the first couple of days with rubbing alcohol.
Ooh, okay.
That's
just
it.
Straight.
That's the way tattooing was a tattoo's ugly while it's healing. So nobody was going like, oh, I got a tattoo last week. Check it out. Because you're just going to see ugly.
Colored bacon on your arm.
Right. So that's a norm for my generation. But also the way that I tattoo doesn't heal good the way Carrie Barba has her clients heal.
Okay.
A shop has to have an umbrella.
It should some sort of an outline of how we're explaining.
You have to have an umbrella aftercare where everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That way, if there's a variable, it's easier to find out what the variable was. And it protects the shop.
Yeah.
If nobody's been having any weird reactions with any clients and everybody's doing the same thing, and then some client comes in and goes, I didn't give this to myself because I was at the hospital rubbing bacteria all over my tattoo. You did this. Yeah. But then you can say, well, nobody else had any problems in the past.
Yeah, we're all using the same
umbrella coverage. But anyways, we learned together. It's like when she would have her clients heal with the way that I've always, or Rick or Mike or Mark, anybody would have their client heal the tattoo. It didn't heal right for her. She was using like A&D and then wrapping it with cellophane or saran. Yeah. So when I did that, it really made the tattoos very milky and blurry. Very milky and blurry.
Okay. Yeah.
But when she does that, it doesn't. Huh. When she had her clients do natural heals, their scabs were like 5 layers of skin deep,
crack
and it can't go deeper than 3.
Yeah.
It'll remove tattoo. So we just learned like, well, there's no, she was like, oh, I'm excited because I get to ask you like, what do old schoolers do here? What do traditional artists do here? How do you guys think about this? And what do traditional artists do? And like stretching the skin and all that stuff's different.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Do you get to work with some other great artists there? She notoriously had like
always coming through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of travelers.
Paul Booth. Yeah, it's pretty normal just to have anybody from Europe or the West Coast Japanese tattooers would always come in and spend a week or two, That was the 90s. There were not a lot of tattooers at that time. Like I said before, like 8,000 tattooers in the world, I think. Yeah. In 94.
Damn. So then in the 90s, the tattoo magazine started coming around too, right? It was like or mid 80s.
The tattoo magazine, okay. Yeah. Easy Rider magazine used to have an annual tattoo section.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Paisano Publishing.
Okay. So I grew up with Easy Rider in our house. So I would always like look
Easy
through that.
Rider magazine had an annual, I believe. And then it slowly turned into a monthly tattoo section. And then they would have an annual separate mini mag. Yeah. Same size, but less pages of Easy Rider fans sending in their tattoo pictures.
Yeah.
And then that's how it fucking happened, man. Is like Easy Riders had a tattoo section in the magazine, and then they started putting out an annual Christmas or something edition where you got Easy Rider magazine plus a bonus tattoo magazine. Yeah. And then they were like, fuck, that sells good. So then they made Tattoo magazine.
Yeah.
It's all it is just an off branch from Easy Riders.
Okay. Yeah. So I had that in the house too. I remember that, like stealing those from my dad. And that's where I learned what tribal was.
The only place you could see pictures of tattoos in the early 80s was a section in Easy Rider magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, and Carrie was real good about promoting herself through using the magazines, right? Did you learn a lot through her and working at that shop on how to promote yourself also too? And
Fuck no.
No?
I am the worst at self-promotion. I am so not good at self-promotion. I'm just not good at it.
You never got into like, I print out your pictures.
Yes, I've fucking done it. I've fucking done it. Yeah. And it's like, I was in magazines a lot.
Okay.
Carrie is the one that would helped.
Okay, good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yes, but I am the worst at self-promotion. I'm like, man, if I've got like 30 paintings to sell, just sit there and collect dust. I'm just like, it's embarrassing to try to sell shit. It's embarrassing to try to fucking make yourself look like something special. That's just me though.
Yeah. I think the artists in general, we struggle with that. Like,
yeah, a businessman.
Yeah.
And a tattooer coming together is success. And I've always been bad at business. I'm so bad at business.
You stick with your craft and it's good. You've had a long, successful career. The body of work that you have is like, for someone not good at promoting yourself, you seem to get clients in the chair for a really long time. And now you're
knock on wood.
Was this transition to have you always really been focused on Japanese work? I mean,
oh man,
when did you start really becoming?
Okay, here's a trippy thing is I've been drawing since I was little. I can remember in church, we were Baptists when I was a kid, and I would bring the typing paper and I would draw people's faces. And I remember by the time I was 7 or 8, I could draw a face and you could tell who it was.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay. And I've been drawing at least 2-3 hours a week ever since I was 4, at least, if not a lot more. But when I was 11 years old, there was a magic store in Costa Mesa. This is when we were living in Huntington Beach. Costa Mesa was right up the street. I would ride my bike down to the magic store. I just dug it.
Yeah.
This magic store used to have, and this was in 1974, they used to have tattoos that you could put on, the temporary tattoos,
cool.
But full size, like sleeves and back pieces. This magic shop, they sold some other stuff. It was a novelty.
Yeah.
So anyways, I can remember buying a Japanese rose, which is what I called it, but it was peony.
Okay.
Red peony.
Yeah.
Temporary. And I think it was like $1.50, and that was so much fucking money. Anyways, I was in that magic store one time, and the owner, he knew I wasn't stealing. I could hang out in there, and I would read in there. I would be in there for like an hour and a half, sometimes 3 hours, because my home life was a little weird. I would take off. Anyways, that was one of the places I would take off for hours.
Yeah.
And one time I was in there, and 3 Japanese men came in, and they were the ones that were selling him the temporary tattoos.
Oh, okay.
They were Japanese. They were connected. They were going out to Hollywood, LA, San Diego, San Francisco, all these places, and selling different things. And one of them was
the tattoos.
Those. And anyways, and knowing now, they were definitely yakuza. But
really,
well,
yeah.
Tattoos, 1974.
Yeah.
But he said, "Hey, can I see your tattoos?" They had a translator, so I think it was the two guys and then a translator. Anyways, so 3 of them. They asked him to lock the door, and I remember he locked the door. He knew I was in there, and he went like, "Just stay over there. Don't." I'm doing business.
Yeah.
Anyways, I remember they took off their shirts, and I had never seen that kind of tattoo before. That was the day. That was the day. And they had, they didn't take off their pants.
Yeah, but
they took off their shirts completely. And I remember how proud they stood there. And I don't know. It was just, I was like, that was different. I can
see it now.
That was the one spark where I was like, that's fucking beautiful. That's like a painting, but on the skin. Dang. It's not a picture on the skin. It just, I don't know.
Sounds like a scene out of a movie. I could just see your little kid.
Oh my God.
A little kid or something, peeking around and seeing that. Yeah.
So ever since then, I started like a love for it at that time. There was nothing you could purchase back then or anything. But man, every once in a while, a movie would have. Yeah, I was like, those are so different than everybody's tattoos that I know. So I got very well established, very well known for my realism in black and gray realism.
Okay, no way.
And in the 90s, you might remember that nobody liked traditional tattoos.
Yeah.
It was just like, no, man, they wanted Geiger or they wanted realism, get a deer this big next to pine trees this big, next to a cabin this big. And, just like that's what everybody wanted. And I became very well known and established as realistic black and gray. Okay. I got to do something Japanese 1 to 5 times a year if I was lucky.
No way.
And those were the fucking, he's like, people go like, hey man, just do anything you want. You've been tattooing all my cousins and shit. Just do whatever you want. I'd like, I'd fucking love to do a peony. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's like a Japanese rose. Like, I don't want none of that Jap shit. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Or like, hey, do whatever you want. Okay, I'd love to do a koi. No, I don't want one of those. Or do anything you want. I'd be like, hey, you want even a traditional American chest eagle? Nobody wanted traditional. That's when
the graffiti influence is coming in stuff too, right?
Yeah, graffiti, I think, is the surge.
Yeah.
That changed from 93 to 2003. That big influx of tattooers, it seemed like were graffiti artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
The graffiti artists came in and then all of a sudden I had to learn how to do graffiti. I'd never drawn graffiti. I wasn't a criminal doing graffiti. I've been into tattoos. I feel like I became a decent painter, a decent artist because of drawing tattoos. I don't feel like I was an artist that learned how to do tattoos. It just seems flip-flop. I think mine's just different than a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of graffiti artists. I had to learn graffiti. I had to learn Geiger, biomechanical.
Yeah.
I even had what I was doing, Carrie called it organic bio, which was biomechanical, but it was organic tissues and plant matters and stuff. You remember like the leaf man? The leaf?
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of where it all came from, doing leaves, but it looks biomechanical.
Yeah, well, and
but there was no mechanics.
The flow of working on the body, you're doing a lot of drawing on.
The magazines started printing was my organic bio, my portraiture, and that's how I became established or enough work to pay my bills.
Yeah. Were you doing conventions at the time? I mean, were conventions
conventions,
they were real small and intimate back in the day, right? And
well, the first convention I remember going to was in 81 and it was on the Queen Mary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was like a bunch of guys in their 40s and 50s. And I was 18 years old.
I didn't know they didn't.
Lots of gay men that really, really
were collectors
to me.
Yeah.
It was the Queen Mary in 81. I think that's the first convention I went to, but I wasn't a tattooer going there.
Yeah.
I tattooed, but I never considered myself a professional tattooer. Rick Walters has the same history. He started tattooing himself and friends when he was 13.
Okay.
And then he didn't learn professional tattooing. That was in the 1950s. He didn't start learning professional tattooing until 1970s when he got out of prison.
Okay.
Yeah, he was connected, affiliated. Phil Sims taught Rick Walters how to tattoo, I think in 1971 when Rick got out of prison. Maybe 71 or 2 is when he got out of prison for shooting a guy's face with a shotgun.
Oh.
Anyways, he shot the side of his face off.
Holy shit.
And he did time. He did 6 or 7 years.
Not in the shop.
But he'd been tattooing since the 1950s because he'd been doing hand poke and then professional. So it's taken me a long time to absorb that that's okay to say I've been tattooing since 1979.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't in a shop, Rick said the same thing. He's been tattooing since 1959, I think, whatever it was, 57. Even though he'd only been in a shop since 71.
Yeah. Damn. Damn. So, oh my God. So you have so many ties to all these any other like just real great old school guys that you that you kind
as
of
far
got
as
to,
like being friends enough to have dinner with and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Just like it was hard for me to talk myself into doing the TV show.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to be a name dropper.
Oh yeah, no,
and it's awkward for me. But I have very special ties and moments. Right now, all my friends are dead.
Yeah.
So it's a different time, but they've all passed away. Lyle Tuttle was a good guy. He was a cool guy.
I got to have lunch with him. And
Yeah. I had lots of dinners with him. He was funny.
Yeah, he's full
Did
of
you
great
know
stories.
that Lyle was totally blackballed from the tattoo community in the 70s?
I didn't.
A lot of people don't know what.
Yeah.
There was a show called The Mike Douglas Show, and it was on in the afternoon after school. I remember Lyle Tuttle was on The Mike Douglas Show, and he was saying how the tattooers they don't know how to draw. Their stuff doesn't look good, but his stuff did. And he was like name dropping by tattooing Janis Joplin. And, it was, and he upset a lot of fuckers were pissed at him, really took him. I remember it was the 90s once he started being embraced by the younger people coming up.
Okay. Yeah. All the other guys.
Rick knew him the whole time. I think
separate.
Lyle might have done a couple of years at Burt Grimm's even when Rick was manager in the 70s, but
whoa,
they were always friends. But Rick was like, watch out who's around before you talk to Lyle, because people fucking associate you and they'll fucking write you off.
Damn.
But it took a long time for Lyle to get that off his shoulders.
Yeah.
He was young and saying I tattoo rock stars on national TV, and he was saying like, the art he was bringing to the table.
Yeah, I could see how that could piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I guess there's people doing
that. And that was when
now.
tattooers, like even Rick, he never considered himself an artist. He would say, I'm not an artist, even though he drew all of this shit on, you know what I mean? Half of it, he just tattooed without drawing a single thing.
Yeah.
It's, but he's like, no, I ain't an artist. Don't call me that. But he used to call me an artist. Because you know what Rick did when I first started there, maybe after I'd hung out with him for a couple months when Mark sent me down, he said, hey, how much artwork or drawings do you have? And I go, well, I got drawings. I remember he goes, well, bring them down next time I see you. And I brought down a stack of drawings that thick, all on just like, typing paper, Xerox paper at that time. But, and he like looked through it, and I remember Scully was there too, and he cracked up when he saw me bring it in because he knew what was going to happen. Rick said, right on, and he's looking through it, and he goes, you need to forget all this shit. You need to learn how to draw tattoos and draw them right.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, okay. And then he said, watch this. And he took my papers. He goes, follow me. And we go in the back, and he opens a locker, puts all my shit in it, and locked it, and then said, you'll get that shit back when you can draw a good tattoo.
That's cool.
It was a year later.
Oh, okay.
He had all my shit. I remember Scully was cracking up because he knew he was going to do that.
Some wild stories. And, when you're talking about just shit popping off in tattoo shops. And back in the day, it was like you said, it was like every 3 to 6 months, like something weird would fucking happen. And our shop, we didn't open until 2003, and we were in a kind of an interesting area. So, but still it was like that. And nowadays, like, luckily it's pretty mellow. But
yeah, it was, it's always been like, world. Some people wear tattoos as their flag or their banner, as their club. And, one thing that I hope I've done is helped bring tattooing by the TV show, you know what I mean? Help bring it into the world of being respected. Yeah. Like I used to have people not even drink out of the same fucking drinking fountain as me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or cross the street because I'm tattooed. They don't know me. Yeah. But these days I used to hate going to the bank. Because security would follow me everywhere as if I'm there to fucking rob the place. And that was in the 80s and 90s, all the way up in 2004, 2005 I think it was 2005 or 6 when I was like, oh my God, it's nice going into the bank and not being looked at as a criminal.
Yeah.
So I'm proud, and I hope that I am one of the people that helped bring it out of only crime thinking.
Yeah.
I like all aspects of it. Absolutely. I got, I love all of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's nice to not be just thought of as, people used to call me scumbag because I had tattoos. Friends even would go, man, that's so scummy. Why do you do that shit? And I'd be like, I'll never talk to you about it again.
Yeah. I remember getting out of a car in Houston and I don't know, I was like maybe 99 or 98 or something. And I remember I was with my dad and he jumped out of the car and I think he had shorts on at the time and shirt, he was pretty heavily tattooed. And some dude just gets out of the car next to us and looks at him. He's like, tattoo guy, huh? And then I had to like calm my dad down and get him away from him. I'm like, let's just go you're with your dad.
That's been said to me.
Yeah, let's just go to dinner. Like, get the fuck out of here.
People say that. Tattoo guy, huh?
Yeah. And obviously a very condescending tone.
Scumbag,
Yeah, piece of shit.
It was so different.
Yeah. With all of your passion kind of channeling into Japanese work, were you able to, have you traveled over the years and been over to Japan or
No.
Yeah.
One thing that the TV show did was it syndicated in Japan after it was off the air here. 2007 was the end of the show. And so 2008, it became syndicated in like Greece and Italy,
which we never think about if you don't know how the business works.
And, Horikyo the First reached out to me. The first thing he said was, are you really blind in one eye? Oh. And I was like, yeah, man, I got fucked up. Sure. He couldn't speak English, but he told me later that he had his apprentice translate for him. So we emailed back and forth, plus paper mail back and forth. And, but yeah, he was like, that guy's wearing a fucking eye patch because he's trying to be cool. Because he's blind in one eye. Horikyo was blind in one eye. Mm-hmm. Anyways, he was like offended that I would be wearing or pretending like I was, whatever.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I called his bluff. And then we wrote back and forth a lot. And,
that's cool.
So I consider him a mentor, for that year and a half before his death. It was maybe 2 years of us chit-chatting. Also, I got to hang out with Azuma Kaname for 3-4 days. Kaname Azuma, do you know who that is?
I don't know. The names sound familiar, but
yeah, he did tattoo in the 60s, 70s bit, but he's the painter that did the silk paintings of tattooed women.
Oh, okay.
They were really fucking famous in the 90s and the 2000s, all the way up until Azuma Kaname. I got to hang out with him, Hori Ren, a little bit before she got cancer.
Yeah.
But that was here. To be honest, when I was making good money, I was supporting my children.
Yeah.
And that was what was important.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say I was never criminally late ever with child support or alimony,
That's
cool. That's just the one thing that I could never travel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I've befriended some, even,
sound like you were in good places where a lot of people were coming through. So
Horitoshi the First used my my room for 3 days that he was here in town. That was at Hart and Huntington, but I had to cancel my appointments for him. So I said, as long as I get to watch you. So I get to watch Horitoshi work for 3 days straight. Plus his translator was real helpful with me. But I consider, Horikyo First and Azuma Kaname very, very strong influence.
Yeah.
Helpful in a lot of ways. Really? Azuma Kaname is the one that told me, quit fighting your natural westernized flavor. Because I was like, I was like, my stuff doesn't look authentic.
Yeah.
And he was like, I wouldn't have even noticed your work
if it was.
Yeah. He said that the reason I knew who you were is because your work has stood out to me, obviously, as somebody that has a passion for traditional Japanese.
Yeah.
And not just, I'm going to stick 14 antlers on a fucking dragon and I'm going to fucking show them how it's done type of thing. I've been in love with the Japanese tattoo, and it's only been since 2007 or 8 that people started accepting or liking traditional Japanese tattoo. Right now, it seems like there's thousands and thousands and thousands of tattooers specializing in traditional Japanese. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely before 2010, there was only a few, man. There was only a few in the whole fucking world outside of Japan.
Yeah.
That loved it. And I've loved it forever. And it's nice to finally be able to focus on what I love the most.
Do you paint large scale like pretty regularly these days, or you?
My tendon tore. My tendon right here came loose. So every once in a while I test it to see, but it's been years. It's like if I tattoo, I can't paint. If I paint, I can't tattoo.
Got a tattoo. So how many days a week do you roughly tattoo right now?
5.
You have a private studio here in town? Or?
Yeah. I'd like to say that I work late night in friends' shops.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been to where you work. But so you'll do 5 days a week. That's a lot.
But normal. Yeah, 5 day a week.
I mean,
my days off. Yeah, Mondays, Tuesdays, my days off.
Yeah,
but it's been sporadic. This past year's definitely been different.
Yeah, this year was rough I don't know if you're saying.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more tattoo shops.
Oh, more than
like ever. There used to be 8,000 people tattooing in the world. Now I think there's 800,000 people tattooing in the world. I don't know the number, but even the IRS is like, we're going after these fuckers because there's a lot of them now.
Yeah.
And they used to just leave us alone. And there's so many tattooers now.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's a lot of tattooers doing traditional Japanese. Yeah. Or no, you know what? Not traditional, but Japanese.
Yeah.
Modernized, westernized. I still love the true traditional. That's what I love. That's just like, I still love Van Gogh more than Da Vinci or Michelangelo. I like that rough look. Yeah. It's like traditional Aztec art, traditional Mayan art, traditional Hawaiian art, or Maori art. These are traditional old styles.
Yeah.
Traditional Japanese is the same to me. It's a very old style.
Sticking with certain subject matter and whatnot. I mean,
it's a style.
Yeah.
It's a style. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about style anymore. They just think like, oh, it's a dragon or a koi. So I'm going to do these wacky lips and eyelashes, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just a style. It's like if you were to say, draw or paint in the style of Van Gogh, and then you love that style, and you're not like trying to, like say I'm the original or nothing, but you love Van Gogh's style, and then you do that style.
Yeah.
Or that. Well, it's a style. If you were to do Hawaiian traditional tattooing as a Westerner and just start saying, yeah, they think they can do cool shit, but I'll show them what cool shit is.
Yeah.
It really is like that with Japanese, but these days it's been stepped on and changed, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I love the original.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Yeah.
The biggest change between true traditional Japanese tattooing from, like 1830s to 1880s is when it really, from kuniyoshi, became a style.
Okay.
All the traditional Japanese style is kuniyoshi style.
Okay.
If you can't, this is what I've been told by Zuma Kaname and Horitoshi and Horikyo, is if you can't say that looks like Kuniyoshi might have drawn it, then it's not traditional.
Huh.
But I'm not saying traditional is better than westernized. I'm not saying it's better than modernized. It's just like traditional Hawaiian tattoos are not, well, you say what you want, but don't change those, but go ahead and change Japanese. Well, I don't know. It's a weird thing to me that it's been so changed, but still called traditional. That's like when Shige, is that his name? Horishige, they awarded him the best traditional Japanese tattooer in like 2008 or 2010.
And his style.
And he said, I am not traditional Japanese. This is a different thing than traditional.
Yeah.
So it's just a different style. It's beautiful. I love watercolor tattoos. I don't do them. I love these things, they are specific. If you're saying I'll do a watercolor tattoo, and then you go and do a graffiti with bold black lines, and it's not. You've changed it, but you're still calling it that. Yeah. That's what confuses me sometimes. Where I love the traditional 1800s style. The big difference between the 1800s and now is the backgrounding.
Like more dimension or I mean, I'm thinking.
I think a lot of people don't even realize that, the isobars, that those weren't being done in the mid 1800s at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What were they doing? Just big blocks like fades or,
I think in my bag, I actually have I didn't bring it for any reason except for I grab it real quick.
Yeah, fuck it.
This is traditional Japanese in the mid 1800s.
Okay.
You see the isobars? Okay, the tattoos that these people are wearing, they don't have the isobars. They have the cascades.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those cascades eventually turned into the isobars.
Okay.
But see what's poking out from under? There's a great one. Okay. So as far as the backgrounding, it's slowly been morphing into what you see today.
Yeah.
Like even Horikyo, what I loved about his work is his work looked like it was done in around 1920. Really? That's one thing too, is like just studying photos of tattooed people. Like there's photos that were taken in the 1920s and 30s of 80-year-old tattooed men from Japan that were tattooed when they were like 20. Oh, wow. So they were tattooed in say 1850 and such. They do not have the tight isobars.
Yeah.
They have big, it's just different. The background has been changing. That's where you, as an artist, get to show your own flavor.
Yeah.
And of course, the shifts of, okay, there's more than kuniyoshi, but kuniyoshi is the godfather of traditional Japanese tattooing.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that either.
No,
they think it's
my
hokusai.
History of Japanese tattooing is pretty not.
Well, a lot of people like go, hokusai. And I go, well, hokusai taught kuniyoshi, but hokusai only actually ever drew 3 tattooed people, period. And then kuniyoshi was like, fuck, that's neat. And then he put out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paintings with tattooed people. He started tattooing people. He started drawing 4 tattoos. It's like kuniyoshi is the godfather of the Japanese tattoo.
This is beautiful. 1800s, late 1800s? Is that what I'm saying?
Well, the traditional Japanese tattoo, or say like a back piece, has been being done since like the 1830s. But this is what it looked like back then. This is
cool. I like
a
these textures in the background
of a tattooed man. This isn't someone going like, I'm going to just create something that's... No, you probably at this time would have saw the man that he drew. Or this might have been one of the people that kuniyoshi tattooed. Anyways, so it's like saying there's a Van Gogh movement.
Yeah.
And then people are still doing Van Gogh. And then 200 years later, which is now compared to kuniyoshi, is not connected to Van Gogh. So it's like, that's all it is very traditional thinking, very traditional style, like a cartoon style. If the guy that drew, say, the Peanuts, like Snoopy and such, started drawing Batman, it would be in the Peanuts or Schultz style.
Yeah.
So basically, the traditional Japanese tattoo is of the kuniyoshi style.
Yeah.
I think what people do now is they just don't like traditional. It's that simple.
Well, it's shit. I mean, within the tattoo realm, I mean, there's the styles that younger tattooers are being exposed to nowadays. It's endless.
Right.
So where I was like, you were either Japanese or traditional. And then I started seeing black and gray, like come out of like LA.
The West Coast.
Yeah. So those were like the 3 options to do as far as artists. And then, and then the graffiti, like all the graffiti just started taking all of those and mashing them up. Like the graffiti kids would get in there and you're more of your like new school type stuff. And I guess that's probably what I would fall under. And like, that's what I was incredibly fascinated with.
And then if somebody came in and started saying like, I'm doing what you love and shit. And then you look at it and you're like, well, that doesn't look like it. But you can call it that. It's okay.
It's weird.
I don't compete. And I don't think tattoos are sports. There's no winners.
No, totally.
It's just what I love is the tradition that's really connected to kuniyoshi.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Like you when you're looking through like your social media specifically, it's just really, really cool. It's really impressive.
That really made me proud about in 2009 is when I put up my current website.
Okay.
2009. And
shit. It's still rolling.
It's my website.
It works. Awesome.
Anyways, I wrote basically, here's one thing that I'll run into is like somebody will say, hey, I want to get tattooed by you, man. I saw some stuff you did. Okay. So then they come down and I go, what are you thinking of doing? They're going, I want to get like 5 dragons on my left arm and like, 15 koi on my right. And I'm like, well, a dragon's head is this big.
Yeah.
They're like, what? And anyways, I started running into people not understanding what I love is the traditional and people just being confused by it because they've been seeing a full dragon that, a 25-foot long dragon shrunk down to 4 inches or whatever. Which is beautiful and awesome.
Yeah.
That to me is a specialty, micro tattooing.
Yeah.
That's a specialty. But then they were confused when I would say, well, like, but no, I do traditional style. I'm way more traditional. They're like, I don't get it. Anyways, I wrote a page on my website. It's about the traditional Japanese style.
Yeah.
And it explains it. It's like a thesis,
Yeah,
it ain't cool. Short. But it really made me proud because going through this, there's a lot of cut and pastes in a lot of this I wrote. A lot of this was from my website, and I was so stoked to see that, like, one of my clients was like, that's plagiarism. I go, fuck no, that's so cool that the fucking Boston Museum of Fine Arts found info from me that they felt helped describe.
That's awesome.
Japanese tattoo.
Yeah.
But it's its own style, and it gets hard for some people to understand. You know what? I've learned, even Rick was like, I don't see why you like that fucking stuff and that's all you fucking like, why I'm like, I don't know. It's like some people like Chevys.
Yeah. You just stick with it
they just
for the rest
fucking,
of your life.
And they love them. Or, some people like, like die-cast models.
Yeah.
I love traditional Japanese tattoo, and I have since I was 11 when I was in that fucking magic store.
That's cool.
Gobsmacked.
Is there any newer artists that you can kind of think of that you're seeing out there that you're enjoying their work and maybe influencing you? Or
I'm seeing a lot of the real traditional looking from the South Koreans and sometimes the Vietnamese. Theirs looks very Japanese. They don't so much use kuniyoshi though.
Okay.
They use a couple different artists, more of the artists that designed, like Kuniyoshi, he designed his paintings to be for the ukiyo-e, which are like, 17 inches by 12 inches, whatever the size is. That's the size that he designed. But other things that were being done that really translate well to tattoo is like the little Japanese card games. They didn't have TV, you know what I mean? They had, like a drawer full of entertainment, which would be things on paper. So anyways, there's a style that's more along the lines of the Japanese card toys of the 1800s that really looks good as tattoos.
We'll have to share
it seems like they really, really love the traditional Japanese style as well.
Yeah.
Like once you start getting into more of like a storybook airbrush style, like airbrush, storybook, realism, it's just different as all. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's not what blows my hair back. Yeah. That's all. It's like, I like the old Chevy. So
that's fun, man. That's cool.
But as far as new artists, I rarely see one that I see as very connected to Kuniyoshi. But all of the old ones, my world comes from the 70s.
Yeah.
And the tattooers of that time, very connected to their teachers, who were very connected to their teachers, who were very connected to their teachers. And right now it's a little different.
It is really different right now.
I remember when I was working with Kelly, he was like, oh, I don't know, man. I just look at Horiyoshi 3 and I figure that'll get me in the ballpark. And I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't do traditional Japanese. He's all, what? And I go, well, Horiyoshi 3 doesn't do traditional. And he's all, what? And I go, well, he's been saying it in every single interview since 2006. Okay. And I don't think people pick up on it that Horiyoshi 3 has evolved into his own world, his own style.
Yeah.
And he himself, if you go back and read interviews, you'll see where he says, starting around that time, 2006, you don't know, that I no longer doing true traditional, I'm doing my own style.
Yeah.
Which is saying, I'm not doing traditional. Don't copy me and thinking you're learning traditional.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot of Westerners, that was their first
exposure to
toe in the door to be able to study it, because it's not been easy. Yeah. I didn't have books. You know how I used to be able to study the Japanese tattoo? I learned early on, you don't need to look at the tattoos to learn the Japanese traditional tattoo. You need to study Kuniyoshi. I tell tattooers that when they'll ask me, like, what's the best book to buy? And I go, Kuniyoshi artwork, study that. They're like, but that don't look like tattoos. I go, yeah, it fucking does, except for the background. But the imagery, that's where this is a traditional. It's not this person couldn't draw a human face.
Yeah,
it's a style, and that's based on Kuniyoshi. That's all it is.
Okay.
But as far as people thinking they're learning traditional tattoos by studying Horiyoshi the third, or Horitoshi the first, it's like, they're doing their own thing. Horitoshi is more traditional than Horiyoshi the third, but his backgrounding is very modernized. Very, very, with the isobars that are like 1 inch isobars. They're beautiful, but they're not traditional. They've changed with him. He started doing traditional backgrounding as well, but even his backgrounding has become less asymmetric. Asymmetrics are part of traditional Japanese art.
Yeah.
And so to symmetricize and balance things is a very modern individual thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's his style. And then Horiyoshi third, his style it's just not traditional. But it's beautiful and you can learn a fucking lot. But once you start getting into like 19 colors, a traditional Japanese tattoo is a 2-color tattoo. It's black, gray, and red. That's a 2-color tattoo. Yeah. You know why?
No.
Gray is not.
Well, yeah.
It's faded black.
Yes.
So black and red is a 2-color tattoo. And that's the original color tattoo was red.
Okay.
Which they made with a type of toxic ink, which would put them on deathbed for 3 days. Do you know that any Japanese person that has red on them that was tattooed before the 1980s was on their deathbed for 3 days?
Because of the red.
And it's just showing your bravery. It's showing you're willing to shine brightly. The Hopushido thing, is the red was made with a toxic mineral that would put you. That's why most of the peonies, the red peonies that were done from like the 1980s and older, are always around 3 inches.
Oh,
because that's what would put you on the fine line. And you'd be bedridden or die.
Good Lord. So I'm guessing they learned that the hard way at times, like by some
people
guy.
Died. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Holy
people died
shit.
in the 80s. People died in the 70s. People died in the 60s, 50s, 40s.
Do you know what was specific that was in there? I mean, what the hell were they putting in there?
I ain't going to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's how they made their red.
Yeah.
And that was the first color.
Yeah.
But you could only do a little bit at a time. But if you're afraid and if you're, I don't know, a wimp, you'll only get this much.
No,
if you're very brave, you'll get a full 3 inches.
Whoa. And then your body would metabolize that and you would work your way through it.
It's toxin. Yeah. It's a poison, basically.
God.
And the mineral, the residue would stay in your fatty globule layer, but the toxin take 3 days for you. You'd be on your deathbed for 3 days. The bigger, the more red you got, the more challenging death you were doing. And I've met some guys that were tattooed in the 60s and 70s with those reds. And it makes me very humbled to be around them. It's like they're just scary fuckers.
Yeah. And they're
not afraid of not afraid of red.
Just on top of the whole tattooing experience itself being a big deal, then you're and having to work through that. That's wild.
That's one of the things I love about the traditional bodysuit is it's way more profound. It's very special.
Yeah.
So not only am I just like into tattoos, but that whole thing was different than tattoos. It was like, there's something different. Their pride. Okay. They should be proud. You know, you have to torture yourself for a decade to get a bodysuit.
Yeah.
If you go in every 2 weeks, because of the swelling and the difficult time your body has for dealing with larger, I don't think a lot of people realize that getting a 10-inch tattoo in one session, like, oh, we did this in 6 hours and it stopped hurting and all this stuff. Like, no, when you're working on a bodysuit, it's a whole different realm. Oh. It's not the same healing. Healing is devastating. You know what I mean? Nothing heals easy. The bigger you go, the harder the heal. So you have to be able to deal with pain well. And if you're tightening up and then relaxing and tightening up and relaxing, the tattoo goes deeper and shallower, deeper and shallower. So to have a beautiful tattoo, it took being able to control yourself during pain, being able to relax yourself, being able to finish what you say you can do. That's commendable. Being able to manage your money because this shit ain't cheap.
No.
If you're buying a beautiful painting for the wall and it's $50,000, people understand that, but they don't understand spending $30,000 on a tattoo because tattoos should be cheap, anyways. It's commendable. This is different to me. I've tattooed at least 30,000 hours, maybe.
Ooh, yeah. I wonder how much.
40,000 people. At Carrie Barber's shop, how Hart and Huntington was busy?
Yeah.
It's a trip. When I went there and it was busy, I was like, whoa, this is a little bit worse than Carrie's shop. It used to be a very famous, popular shop. People used to come from Canada, Japan, Europe, Germany, England, everywhere. Carrie Barber's shop was so fucking well-known and it was just a trip. And so we would often have 5 people waiting there were always 4 tattooers. We were all busy from beginning to end of shift.
Damn.
And anyways.
I like that energy. It was fun always like being that busy.
Oh man. Yeah.
It was a good time.
Less tattooers puts more people in your lap.
Yeah. So this is kind of like going back to what we were talking about pain and going through this life experience. It can be
very special. It can be.
Yeah. But I'm seeing this total opposite stuff we're seeing right now with the anesthesiologists like coming into tattooing and they're putting people down.
Well,
this is like really interesting.
One thing I've learned is I love tattooing. So if it would take that to allow me to do what I love, I'm okay with it. I'm not against it. But one thing that I have never heard come up is, what about if the next day during their severe swelling, they go into shock and die? What if they're forgetting that it's an injury?
It's road rash essentially.
It's a very gnarly trauma. It's not like losing a hand but you're definitely going to be swelling. You're going to have a harder heal. The more you injure, the harder that heal is,
Yeah.
So that's why traditional Japanese tattooers only work 1 to 2 hours per session.
Oh,
a lot of people don't.
I didn't know. Yeah, I never really thought about that
Horiyoshi
process.
3, he does 1 hour sessions. He'll do like 6-7 people a day, but each one only gets 1 hour. Because the more you do, the worse it heals.
Okay.
The worse it heals, the more cleanup you have later. Then in modern tattooing, they're all like, oh, he can't tattoo good anymore because he had to touch up all his shit. I heard someone say that about Horiyoshi 3 one time.
Oh, God.
Like Yoshi was this guy, he had a beautiful bodysuit. And then he was very famous and he put on his, maybe it was MySpace at the time or something. I'm going in to get touch up on my tattoo. And he went to Horiyoshi and he touched up for like 9 hours. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because the shit don't heal easy. It needs cleanup. Yeah. But people, tattooers, new tattooers, were talking shit and go, obviously Horiyoshi ain't knowing what he's doing anymore because his shit's falling out. It's like your body.
Well, your
body's having a fucking hard time dealing with holding this mineral. So cleanup, touch up is a normal part of body suits.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Like you said, though, I'm not seeing
when they're doing anesthesia.
We're not seeing this follow up of the week after. Like, I want to really, I don't want to talk to those people.
And it's not just saying like, well, then take some pain pills so it don't hurt.
No, your whole
it is saying that your body is not, that tattoo's not going to look as good. It's going to look blurrier and milkier. The harder time your body has healing a tattoo, the more blurry and milky it looks. Yeah. It don't make a tattoo go away. It might be 5% blurrier, or it might be 25% blurrier. Yeah. It might be 5% milkier. It's like, but the best scenario is take it easy on the body and your body will heal it better. The easier it is for your body to heal a tattoo, so like young 20-year-olds that are healthy, I'll tattoo on them and they'll come back 2 weeks later and they've already dropped all the fucking dry and everything. And I'm like, man, you are healthy. And then the older we get, the harder it is for your body to deal with because your body just ain't what it used to be.
Skin's a lot more sensitive.
So it's thinking that healing has nothing to do with the tattoo that trips me out. Yeah. It's like if you're doing, you get three people each doing 6 hours. So you've got 18 hours worth of tattooing in one session and it's this big. Okay. Then they're like, well, just take pain pills while it hurts. Okay. So you take pain pills for 9 days or whatever while it hurts. And it's, and all this, and it's going to be pussing and oozing and re-scabbing. And then the whole thing is like, but that also ruins the look that it could have been. It could have been crisp. It could have been, less washed out, less milky.
Huh. Yeah.
So that's the stuff that trips me out. How it's just not thought of as the look of the tattoos. What is important to me, like the look of a painted canvas, rather than the moment the canvas was painted, we all sang this chant and we all threw our fucking high heels at the wall and did, it's like, no, it's not about doing the painting. It's about the painting. But that's just Dionysic art. And there's two types of art. There's Dionysic art and Apollonian. I can't remember the two. Anyways, one type of art is for time. Like Leonardo da Vinci's few paintings he did. We're so grateful that we get to still admire those. Michelangelo's sculptures, the Sistine, his frescoes. Those are, I can't remember if it's Apollonian. Anyways, that's a type of art. I like that type of art. There's the other type of art where it's of the moment. Back when I used to tattoo in a street shop, there would be people like all going while the music's going. And I go, hey, man, sit still. And they're like, no, man, this is fucking awesome. And you're like, well, okay, no problem. Well,
Slayer's
and
playing.
Then, and then they're bragging later, like, oh, this fucking, or they'll say like, they'll call you a sadist because they think you're the same as them. They're sadists.
Yeah.
Okay. Art of the moment, like a ballet.
Okay.
We can't see a ballet that was done 400 years ago. So that's two types of, like Yoko Ono screaming. Okay, that's this type of art, which is the people that are all about the fucking like moment of the fucking fuck yeah, man, fucking hurt and I was fucking cool and fucking the blood was squirting everywhere. It's like that's not part of the tattoo for me, but some people it is. So the two types of art is So people showing off is what I feel like it is showing off that they've got money. So they're paying their $6,000 to $16,000 for anesthesia. What doesn't matter to them is that the tattoo looks great later.
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
I don't.
But to me, what the tattoo looks like later, there's not right or wrong.
Yeah.
And it's all good, man. I love tattoos, and it's awesome that they're getting tattooed. And it's awesome that they're promoting tattoos.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's just different types of art. I don't say that's wrong, and I don't say what I do is right.
I have the same exact outlook on it. I don't have a strong opinion.
I don't mind rotary machines.
I'm just genuinely enjoying watching this happen and wondering, like, what the hell is this? I'm kind of intrigued, and I would like to it would be cool to go sit in on it and just see the experience.
But
it'd be wild.
Yeah, I don't think that it's thought of like, will this tattoo look good later since we did it this way?
Yeah.
But then again,
I don't know.
Maybe that don't matter. That's why I was talking about the two different types, because the presentation of that moment of getting the tattoo is what's gotten all the attention.
Yeah, right. It kind of turns into performance art or some shit, you know?
Nobody knows what the tattoo was. You saw it, but nobody went, wow, I love that. No, they thought of the moment of the anesthesia, the 3 tattooers.
Or more,
And it's like that's the performance. A performance. A tattoo. This is not performance. This is
experience. Yeah.
It's long lasting.
Yeah.
As long as I am.
Yeah. Well, dude, anything else that you'd like to talk about? I really enjoyed this. This is fun. I want to talk to you more too about the history, and maybe we can get you back and specifically just talk about like genres or anything like that.
Specify.
That's really fun, man. I really like that. So, and drawing. So we want to do some stuff in the future where we sit down and draw together while we.
Yeah, absolutely. I love drawing.
Yeah.
I used to draw an hour every day. Period.
That's great.
I did that. Once I started wanting to become a professional tattooer.
Yeah.
And realizing, when Rick took my artwork and said, this ain't tattooable.
Yeah.
This will look like shit in the skin. And then he taught me the differences. Yeah. Once I started learning that, it's like, I draw on the skin. Everything I do, I draw on the skin.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And so anyways, I set myself a thing where draw an hour a day, every day, and set a timer. I used to set a timer for like 4 or 5 years. I would set the timer for 1 hour and I would draw. And sometimes it'd be like, why isn't the timer going off? And I look and it's like, fuck, it's only been 25 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, you still got to draw until the timer goes off. Then other times I would be drawing, and then I've always learned, my mom taught me, inspiration comes from motivation and motivation comes from action. So if you're waiting to be motivated, it'll be rare. It'll be few and far between, once a month or something if you're lucky. Yeah. So anyways, I learned, action. And then sometimes that hour would turn into 4 because it felt like an hour. You know what I mean? It would ding and I'd be like, whoa, I wouldn't even pay attention. I'd look later and be like, whoa, I've been drawing for 3 hours. Nice. And that flew by.
Yeah.
But drawing, I think is important for someone that would call themselves a tattooer. But at the same time, like Rick, he could draw all this shit right on or tattoo it right on without even drawing it half the time because he'd done it so many times. So that's why I started drawing an hour a day, every day.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's great.
That's also why a lot of my stuff, like if somebody goes, I want to get a koi, will you draw it for me? And I'm like, well, have you seen my koi in the past decade? And they're like, yeah. And I go, well, you already know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
That's like, if Vans tennis shoes all of a sudden changed their style, it wouldn't be Vans to you anymore. Yeah. So I have a style that's very natural out of my hand, and drawing has done that. I don't know why the fuck I went on that tangent.
I mean, I'm a huge supporter of like illustrators in general. And I feel like these days right now, there's not a whole lot of illustrators that specifically stand out with their unique.
Drawing on paper, hands on paper is gone. Yeah, I still own my son Cameron. He uses the sketch pad and the pen. Yeah. He says, Dad, it speeds me up a lot in the tattoo shop because I can't draw as fast as you. It might take him 40 minutes to draw the same rows. It takes me 3 minutes to draw.
Yeah.
So he uses his tablet and it says it's really quick and all the little, anyways, he says, but I still draw on paper.
Yeah.
Or like actual art, painting on paper and stuff. Because there was a little while where I was seeing some really neat stuff and I would ask the tattooer, oh, I love that. Can I buy that? Might just be a little flash of something. And they go, I'll email it to you. And I'm like, what? And I go, no, I'd like to buy it and frame it. And they're like, what? And I go, and I'd realize like, oh, it's not physical.
Never seen it. Yeah.
It's not physical. So I'm like, if it doesn't have your DNA on it, your sweat on it, your skin rubbed off on it, I can't buy it or appreciate it as wall art. It's just, I don't know. There's something special.
Yeah.
The hand on paper.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I have a great amount of appreciation for digital artists.
Yeah, NFT. I want to sell some NFTs too.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. So, geez, I don't know. Like,
I think we only got on 2 topics. Yeah, I apologize.
No, it's good. I really enjoyed it, and I want to like come back and talk some more for sure. It's fun. I would love to have you back. And
I am a weirdo. I'm a fucking homebody. I think I've become a bit agoraphobic. I've learned I've got PTSD, but I'm 60, going on 62, and I've only learned that this past year. I've never. Well, back when I got blown up, I've had so many things, man. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I've been blown up. I've died twice. Okay. Literally died twice. It's a trip. It's like, but I never thought of anything like, oh, I've got troubles from it or anything. I was raised in the world, which was different in the 60s.
Yeah.
Where, you don't wear all that shit out on your sleeve and you don't ask for sympathy. You don't ask for attention. Yeah. But a weird thing is I probably should have had sympathy and attention. So anyways, I've become a bit agoraphobic, getting out and doing things. It doesn't scare me, but it makes me react sometimes. And so it's nice. This is almost a good therapy for me, getting out there again. I mean, I've been on fucking national television for 2 years. You know what I mean? It's like for somebody like me to say like, I don't like people looking at me. I don't like getting out there and conventions. All this stuff has just changed for me over the years. And I think it's slowly doing some sort of a morphing, and I think I'm better for it, and I'm getting better with it.
Do you tattoo at night or do you tattoo in the mornings?
During the day. Usually.
You're a daytimer.
I'm not a vampire anymore.
I don't like, I would much
I used to work from noon till 2 a.m. at Carrie Barber's shop. And that was on the schedule 4 days a week, and then, or 3 days a week. And then the other 2 days were 10-hour days. That's how much I love tattooing. I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to work that long. No, I was in my element. I loved it and everything. But these days I work alone. I work well with others. I do. And I love watching other people work. But I started learning that my personality does make people nervous. Younger people that I've worked with, after a few months will start to think I don't fucking like them. And I've learned that that's just
because you're quiet or something.
Yes. I've learned if I don't say like, oh my God, I love what you're doing, man. That's really creative. If I don't do that like on every Wednesday, pretty soon they'll think why doesn't Clark like me? I'll find out like, oh,
they need some
so-and-so wants to know why you don't like him. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't like him? I do. But anyways, it's just changed over the years where I think I just come from a different generation. That's made me a bit agoraphobic. And I think that's the word. I'm learning this shit.
I had a lot of younger artists that work with me over the years that have the same thing. And I don't ever think of myself as like crass or grumpy or anything. I'm frank, but they want me to like pay more attention to them.
Yes, let them know that you think they're special, and then
they
the
get
funny thing
sour
is
about it.
And it's like at least 5 times a year, I'll tell somebody, man, your shit is so fucking cool. You need to paint that shit too.
Yeah,
that style you do is you, and then if I don't do it like on every fucking Monday, pretty soon they're like going, why doesn't Clark like me, man? I thought he used to like me. And I'm like, I do still fucking like you, man. What's going on?
I'm just fucking busy
like,
and I'm a grown man. I'm doing my own thing too. So.
But little things.
That's funny.
But I still, if I don't like you, you know it. All I do is say, I fucking like you, man. I do not fucking like you. It's as simple as that, So if I'm not saying that, that means I'm cool.
Right. I've always felt like if I'm not pulling you aside and talking to you, then you're doing a great job.
Or if I don't care about you enough to take you aside and talk to you, that means I'll tell you, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. If I like you, I will talk to you.
Yeah.
If I don't like you, I won't. I'll just say, I don't fucking like you. Fucking make space.
That seems like a really perfect way to communicate, because then everybody knows where they stand and you'll just stay out of the way. But they don't have the nuts to do it.
It is a different generation. What year were you born at?
I was born in 1980. So you were doing hand poke tattoos when I was,
Yeah, it's just different generations, man. That's like what I was talking about with the punk shit. It's like I used to like the Weirdos, the Avengers, the Dills, the Germs, these fucking late 70s punk bands, the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Cramps, even Devo at that time was so fucking, it was part of Blondie. It was like, that was my generation. And then I've had people go like, oh man, did you ever see Bad Brains? And I'm like, who? They're all Bad Brains. Oh. This is what in particular that happened. I go, no, I never fucking saw them, man. They're like, I thought you were part of the first fucking thing. And I go, I think they were after me, man. And they're like, no, they were fucking really early and shit.
But you also can't be around to see everything.
I think I'm like, I think the late 70s world is like a reaction to the hippie shit.
Yeah.
And the fucking coddling and the fucking sex with everybody thing that started ruining things, and don't spank your children started ruining things. But at the same time,
I feel pretty fortunate where I came into tattooing. I appreciate it, and I was able to be around a lot of old school guys too. And I looked up to them, but then I was also having all these younger, like graffiti guys around me influencing me too. And
it's awesome shit.
Yeah. Man. And I was just genuinely in love with like all aspects of what I was.
And I still am too, in love with all aspects. But what I love doing with my hands as a tattooer.
Yeah.
Like when I paint, I still love doing portraiture.
No shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. You have this like interesting kind of your watercolored approach where it's like droplets almost, and then it builds up this texture.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful. It's cool.
Thank you.
I remember watching my mom. She's been watercoloring ever since I was a little kid. I would just be sitting at the dining room table and she would just
it's got its own fucking thing.
I tried a little bit when I was just kind of trying to do like more of the American traditional stuff in the very beginning. But I'm just like all over the fucking place. I like having access to all the materials and then just kind of throwing them all together and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Something about me has very specifics, like, very specific records I like to listen to while I'm tattooing, very specific style I like doing with my hands while I'm tattooing, very specific style I like doing when I'm oil painting, very specific style I like doing when I'm watercoloring. And each of these are different.
Yeah. That's cool. That's speaking of records, I got to invite you. We're doing a vinyl record art show for our shop's 21 year anniversary.
Vinyl record?
Yeah. So we're going to paint. Zia Records donated 120 records.
All right.
So I'm distributing them to tattooers all over. And
and for the sleeve.
Nope. We're going to do on the record.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So a lot of us, like some guy, like I'm going to gesso mine, I think, and then build up texture on it. Some guys are doing like cold press paper, doing real nice, clean watercolors. Some are doing, everybody's kind of have 3D printer guys that are going to print shit and like attach it to the record.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think it'll be pretty fun. It's a charitable art show. We're raising money for.
You know what I did with my mom's records?
Oh, shit.
she was a Bobby Soxer from the 50s.
Okay.
Like Elvis and some of her records that would probably be worth a lot.
Yeah.
Now. I made like potato chip bowls out of.
Oh!
Or the sleeves. It fit over my head. And I used to like this show called Inframan. I think it was Inframan. It was a Japanese show where his helmet kind of looked like that.
Yeah.
And then I would cut a slit in it. I would wear the record sleeves. They were probably like from 1956.
Yeah. Oh, man. Do you collect vinyl now? Or you said you
I still have. Yeah. I have all my mom's 45s. And I have a couple of her 12-inch.
I have my mom's 45.
Yeah, and I still have all of my coming of age albums. I gave my children, I had like 3,000 albums. And in 1979 and 80, I worked in a record store in Huntington Beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was like before there was record stores for punk, you know, there was like, all you could find at that time was like Journey. And but anyways,
great album covers.
Yeah, she used to sell me the records at cost, and I had accumulated 3,000 to 4,000 records. But I still have. Shit. Yeah, I still have.
That's a good collection.
I think we counted 700 records. So
okay.
I still have like my favorite bands, like the Weirdos. They were my favorite band to see back in the 70s was the Weirdos.
Okay.
They were so cool. The Avengers, the Dills. I still have like all the shit that I grew up, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, was the stuff that I collect. I wasn't going, I'm collecting records.
Yeah.
But that's the shit that I was listening to when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you put it on, it takes you back.
Yeah.
So at one point, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, I went through my records, and if it didn't take me back, and I gave it to my children. And then, so my boys each had, were given, I don't know how many, 1,000 records or something.
Yeah.
Gave those to them.
Dang, that's cool.
Then they got stolen from them.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Well, and you got an open house full of
partiers.
Yeah.
So did your son tattoo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. No shit.
My youngest, Cameron, he tattoos. Me and my ex-wife put me and my ex-wife put both of our children through college or into college.
Okay.
Our oldest finished college, and he is now a construction manager. He works for the National Park System, so that when they're having buildings built, they have a construction company. Then they have their team that's like the designers and shit.
Yeah.
Well, he is on site while they're building to communicate between the two. So he just actually finished a job in Colorado since March, I think.
Whoa.
And that's for like a ranger station that was burned down in the forest fires 2 years ago. Yeah. He's getting ready to move to Maine for another national park job. So
that's cool.
Ian stayed in college, and he's making decent money. And then Cameron wanted to keep quitting college.
Yeah.
So I think we put him into 3 or 4 different college things, but it didn't work out. And then he became, I taught him how to tattoo. I taught him for 1 year, and then Rick Walters took him on for his first year. So Cameron, I taught him for 1 year, and then he worked at Rick's shop for 1 year after that. And then he's been tattooing, I think, 8.5 years now.
Wow. Okay. And he's not in Vegas, or
no, he's not in Vegas right now. He's had some ups and downs with things, and he's messed himself up a bit with, he's having a hard time with life. So he's definitely on a recovery road.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been tattooing 8 years now.
Okay, cool.
And he's a good tattooer. He just, maybe because of his parents' divorce, I don't know. He's
we'll get there.
He's a good tattooer.
Yeah,
he's in his 30s. Once he's in his 40s and 50s, that'll all be in his past.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Stick with it and be in love with it. I feel like tattooing has helped me learn so much about life, and really helped me stick with something too. And I've always been, I bounce all over the place, and there's just nothing that I've sticked with more than tattooing. And I just love doing this now too, because I'm still getting to talk. I'm not tattooing as much as I once was, but it's just great to still be involved, and I just love it. I love talking about it with all different people.
Me too.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's helped me out a lot, and it's brought me a lot of great stuff. It's also brought me a lot of stress and stuff too.
Yeah.
But
it's got its ups and downs. Anything. Like I will just think if you decided to be a full-time oil painter, you're going to go through the same types of things. If you're going to be a full-time 7-Eleven owner, you're going to be going to, it's a job.
Yeah.
But we're lucky, man. Very lucky that people like what we do enough to sit in our chairs.
I struggle big time when I hear people complain about it. I'm just like, man, you're obviously doing it wrong. Then you should just be in love with it. And
it's gone in waves, man.
Yeah.
There was in the 70s, tattooing became very, very fucking popular. It's gone in these little waves where had this slump in the late 60s, then the late 70s climbed, and then it goes in waves. And right now is another wave of tattooers not easily paying the bills.
Yeah.
But that has come and gone in my career 3 times. And then as far as watching my friends' careers, it happened to Mike Brown. It happened to Mark Mahoney back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It comes in little waves.
Yeah.
If you love it enough, it's okay. It's hard, fucking hard. You just have to figure out other things to sell. And then hopefully people will admire you enough to buy those other things.
Right. It's cool to see Mark Mahoney still tattooing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think he was 19 when we met.
Oh shit.
Maybe he was 18 when I met. Whenever he moved from New York to California is when we met, and he was at the Rose Tattoo. I think that was in 79 or 80. Yeah. You know what's funny is I went down to see him and went in, and he wasn't there, and there was this other guy that was like a helper before. He's like, "You want to get something?" And I go, well, I came in for Mark. And he goes, "Mark's not here anymore. I can do that for you." And I was like, okay, well, I brought my $40 in. So I went ahead and got the tattoo that I was going to get from Mark.
No way.
And then found out later that was Jonathan Shaw's first day tattoo. And I have it.
What?
Yeah, I have one of Jonathan Shaw's first professional tattoos.
Dang, that's fun. You've been tattooed by some pretty inspiring people, or did you, when you were younger, go, or I don't know how long recently you've been tattooed, like go to the people that you wanted to be inspired by and learn from and get tattooed by them?
I didn't think of it like that. Yeah. It just happened to be that I grew up in the neighborhood with these tattooers.
Yeah.
Mike Brown, Mark Mahoney, even Rick and Phil Sims. I come from the town where Bob Shaw and Colonel Todd were, tattooing, and then being part of their family. It's like, Rick taught me. I have this, I think, on my website, and I put it out there sometimes. I'm very proud and lucky to have been taught by Rick. Rick was taught by Phil Sims. Phil Sims was taught by Bob Shaw. Bob Shaw was taught by Burt Grimm, and Burt Grimm was taught by Charlie Bars. So it's like each one of those figured out a little bit, Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
I think my lineage goes right back to there. I'd have to ask Phil Luck again. He always breaks it down for me, and I get lost in between. But there was a guy, Hinge, that I think learned from, oh my God, somebody out there.
Yeah.
And then he taught my mentor and Aaron Della Vedova and Dave Logue. And then I learned how to tattoo. Cool. Yeah. So I learned. So he was my mentor. So,
yeah. So you have his family tree.
Yeah.
The people that taught him learned things from the people that taught them.
Yeah.
And hopefully that was all given to you.
Yeah.
And then you've learned things as you tattoo. And if you teach somebody else, you've got their knowledge plus a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's what a family tree does.
I'm excited. I'm going to have Willie Cutlip. He's a fantastic illustrator and tattooer. He lives here, but he's one of the guys that I taught how to tattoo, and he's going to come on. And so we're going to share stories and stuff. And I'm hoping to get Dave on here too. So we'll just kind of,
very cool.
It's, something that I don't think too many people have been doing, but to have all of it documented and listen to people and their perspectives on stories and stuff I'm pretty excited about continuing on to do this. That's cool.
Yeah.
So
I just happened to be in that neighborhood. That's
cool.
How I happened to learn things from those people.
Yeah. I fell into it completely. Like I jumped in. up at Pricks on Sahara and Rainbow.
Yeah.
And Dave was working there and he tattooed one of my friends. And then I was asking questions and showing him my art. And he was like, well, I'm not going to teach you anything if you don't have any tattoos. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, yeah, I'll get a tattoo. I don't know. I was terrified at the same time, and then I ended up drawing something up that he tattooed on me. And then it just we clicked from there. And then it was fun. It was cool.
That's one of the things Mark did that on me, I think in 81.
Really?
81. Yeah. That's a drawing I did. And like one time he was like going through my drawing books and shit. Yeah. He's like, oh, I fucking love that. Cause it was just a dagger with a woman's face on it. And at the time I had
that's cool.
a thing for women with shaved heads.
Okay. That's rad.
Fetish thing. Anyways, that's a woman with shaved head and the dagger. And anyways, that's an old one.
Dang.
I have Mike Brown, Rick.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends that have tattooed me.
Yeah.
My children tattooed me when they were 3, and then they tattooed me again when they were like 14. What we used to do on a boring day was play tic-tac-toe. I have a bunch of tic-tac-toe on me, and none of them have I ever won.
Just losing matches up your legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife tattooed me the other day. She never tattooed. She doesn't even illustrate or anything.
Yeah.
We switched little tattoos.
My wife, Terry, worked at the tattoo shop at Carrie Barba's for a decade.
Oh, no way. Okay.
It was her day job. She works at the hotel. This was out in LA, but she worked for the Hilton group coordinator during the day. But I worked until 2 a.m. So the only time we could see each other,
Yeah.
We've been together 30 years now.
No shit. That's great.
Yeah. But the only time we could see each other is if she came down. So she was hanging out at the shop for like 9 months or something. Carrie said, you're here all the time. You want to get $15 an hour while you're,
okay. Yeah.
So she started helping and working there, and her being around the tattooing so much. And she was even around when I was tattooing at home before I tattooed Terry, my wife now, I tattooed her while I was still married to Holly. Used to tattoo out of my house,
No way.
And anyways, she did a tattoo on me probably around 2000 or 99, somewhere in there. And it was crazy. And it is still a perfect tattoo.
That's
just
awesome.
from her being listening, and the stretching, I think, is the most misunderstood part of tattooing these days is stretching. Is not just stretch and that's it. There's particular stretches
and positions. Yeah. Especially all over.
I think body. That's lost, but she nailed it. She got the shading, she got the color, she got the line work, and that's like 20, 24, 25 years old now, and it's still a good tattoo.
That's awesome. Yeah. My mom tattooed my leg. That was the one and only tattoo she's ever done.
Yeah.
She's been an illustrator. She was the most inspiring person in my life as far as art.
Yeah.
And then my dad tattooed me, and my sister tattooed me. My sister was working the front counter for years, and she was this real pretty blonde. All the guys want to pay attention to her. And we drew this little logo for her. It was a little corn dog. Yeah. Like her nickname was corn dog. Mm-hmm. So she would do that little piece of flash on all these random guys, and it would let her.
That's like Tennessee Dave's outhouse.
Yeah.
That little outhouse with the money on the door.
Yeah.
Or Rick had his, I'll shoot you. No, he had his little fucking Yosemite Sam, Rick Walters.
Buddy downtown.
Or the Rick Walters Rose.
He had a little stick drawing of him that I know he's tattooed on a bunch of my buddies.
Right on. Yeah. Little things
That's
like
fun.
that.
So, well, shit, man, I say we wrap it up.
Yeah,
that was good. That was great. I really appreciate you taking the time to come down. And I'm super excited. I want to talk more about this in the future. And then if you have any other fun stories to tell or anything, just hit me up.
Yeah, it's like
we'll get you in on the drawing night program our project we're putting together. I think that'd be fun.
Sometimes I don't remember shit.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Sometimes people will say something, and I'm like, oh fuck, there's this one time.
I know.
You ever had a client shit on you?
I haven't had shit on me, but I've had just some wet farts working on the ribs.
Those are that too, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could end the show with a shit story.
You want a shit story?
Shit story. Give me the shit story. Fuck it.
There was this guy I used to tattoo. He was maybe in his 40s, late 30s. And this is while I was in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere around there. He's a little older. He worked at Bellevue Hospital, which was a criminal mental hospital.
Wow, yeah.
So every time he had a close call of getting killed, he would come in and get another luck tattoo because he needed more luck.
Oh, wow.
And so like every 3 to 5 months, he would almost get killed at his job and he would come get more tattoos. And then he had a girlfriend and like one time she wanted to get tattooed. I don't know why I brought him up at all, but it was about her. She wanted a cute tattoo on her butt cheek. And so she's laying on her belly. And I was tattooing and I'm working and there's a little, and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed." And I'm like, "Whoa, no problem. I'm going to go have a smoke, like, let things air out." And then I go, "You go to the bathroom, if you need to, whatever." Anyways, after a little while, I came back out and I was working. I had her panties off, you know what I mean? I was working.
Yeah.
And as I was working, I was like, "What?" And I looked and I had a little raisin. and I go, "Oh, shit." And she goes, "What?" And I go, "I got a little pooplet." And she's like, "Oh my God. And I go, "Yeah, you gave me a little shit raisin." It's like, all I could figure is like, as I was working, her butt cheeks were slowly working it out my way.
Yeah, setting it free.
And it was right. Oh my God. I'll never forget that.
Just for you. Just for a little treat.
Yeah. At least didn't get on my shoes. It was just little.
Oh, well, I think that's about it. We ended with the shit story. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Clark. How do we get a hold of you? If anybody wants to look into your websites,
clarknorthart.com.
Okay.
Right now I'm out of my book, but my book's going to be back in stock soon.
Oh,
hopefully in time for the, what is it called? Black Friday. Hopefully in time for that. So I've got my, it's drawings I've done over the past 15, maybe 10 years, just of tattoos or ideas.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of drawings, kind of like a coloring book. I have that. I also all you got to do is search Clark North Art, and even on Amazon, Clark North Art on Amazon, you'll get shirts, posters, paintings, lithos, or just Google search Clark North Art. Because if you just search Clark North, you get like North Clark County, or Clark Street, North Clark Street. Okay. So it thinks it's a direction or a town. But Clark North Art or Clark North Tattoo. And
that's your Instagram too.
And my Instagram is Clark North Tattoo. Yeah, Clark North Tattoo. Yeah. And my website is clarknorthart.com.
Sweet.
And those are the main ones. And I'm probably forgetting something I should plug, but don't be afraid to reach out. I scare people until we get to know each other. That's what I'm told. So
you're a sweetheart.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, thank you again. I greatly appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you around. Keep up on the next episodes. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.